And welcome to another episode of Legends of the Drowned Isles, a homebrew D&D 5th edition campaign. Eventually, I'll know all the right words and I'll say them all in the right order. Until then, I'll just make it up. I'm Mark the Encaffeinated One, the GM for this strange homebrew. I am responsible for creating the world and letting them destroy it. It's kind of fun. Who are they? They are my players who've put up with a lot of my weirdness over the time. How about we go around the table and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jody. I'm going to be playing Clark today, our half-orc fighting rogue, who's in a bit of a mood.
I'm Marie. I am playing the very exhausted moon druid Elzera. She's an elf. She's very tired and annoyed and currently making a conspiracy map, I believe.
Yeah.
Which I have not had the chance to make, but I'll work on it.
I'm Pat. I'm playing Kujaima Ironbound, who just got hallucinogens, so this should be fun now.
Hi, I'm Nax. I play Zacchaeus, half-elf wizard, who doesn't summon demons unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Or, experimenting, or it's Tuesday.
For science.
Convenient.
Well, let's set the scene a little bit to see where people are at, and for those of you at home who might be joining in and figuring out what's going on here. The game is set in the world of Omatia, a strange world made up of, as far as the legends go, 55 islands. These guys haven't counted them yet, so the stories may be true. The islands aren't separated by water, but by a strangeness of sand that does not allow easy passage overwards. In their endeavors, they have traveled from a couple of different islands, here and there, but starting on the islands... this time,
five, maybe six.
3, 4...
I can think of 4.
Handful?
4 or 5, yeah. The 5th one is questionable, depending on how you count the islands. Starting from the island of Vaturdren, the capital city of Vatur, stands changed somewhat by the passage of our folks. But, they have now fallen through a trap into a strange place referred to only as the Shadow. The Shadow is a vast expanse of land, impossible to judge distance because it's nothing more, for the most part, than flat and sometimes shiny onyx rock, featureless in looking at a distance. But as you get up closer, you see certain things. The Hill of Bones they arrived in after the portal took them here. The overland march from there to the city of Withergate, which surrounds the hollow hills. Withergate itself surrounded by an ancient stone wall. And inside, pillbox-shaped houses, some destroyed, some worn over time, almost universally the same, rectangles, low and squat, made of the same stone, where they have found themselves a place to hide, led here by a two-headed imp named Yaz-Zir. The place they find themselves seems to be the former residence, or maybe current residence, of the absent owner, Lord Talmar, a figure who they heard once before in a strange library. Beneath the hollow hills extends this city. The hollow hills themselves, a rounded set of mountains into which many caves have been cut. Apparently mining goes on there quite a bit. Mining happened just yesterday, and the discovery of a strange, I want to say pearlescent would be a good word to use, a strange pearlescent statue, carved stone or perhaps something else, found in the hillside caused quite a stir. A young black dragon had been there to claim their prize, stealing it from a few miners that had found it. Yaz-Zir begged the group, after also insisting that he helped them a little bit, and they owed him to help save his friend Azga. It turned out to be a gibbering mouther, with a little bit of intelligence left perhaps, and some self-control that deteriorated as the battle went on. In that battle, the dragon did not succeed in taking away the stone. However, Yazir was killed by the dragon's breath, and fleeing from the pounding feet of many barbed devils, who are the guardians of this town, the group went through the back way they had entered, Azga providing a little bit of cover before they fled through the city. In fleeing through the city, they tried different tactics, the most exciting, perhaps, of which was an experiment by our wizard, who's growing up so quickly, as he summoned a Bulgura demon, a rather large ape-like demon, and then told it, well, what did you give it for instructions?
There's people following us. Stop them, otherwise go to town.
And indeed, it seemed as though that the Bulgara attracted quite a bit of attention. First taking out several barbed devils, to which a larger creature responded. The large stone golem, seemingly powered, as they discovered later, by something similar to the pillar they had found, embedded in its chest. The fight was massive, I'll say, between the golem and the Bulgara, the golem eventually squishing flat into shadowy dust, as all things have died here. The Bulgara was gone. That left them with a bit of time of breather. I think actually Ironbound actually made some money on that fight, if I recall, having bet on the golem. Later they recovered with the pillar and stood staring at it for a little while, but one other thing happened. Clark decided to go and make good a debt that he had acquired on behalf of the group, and seeking a resolution to Elzera's sleeping problem. He made a deal with a strange figure who only seemed to be darkness with small glitters inside, like a glimpse of the starlight in the blank open sky, in exchange for one of his nightmares, as opposed to the nightmare that the thing was promised. Clark found himself with a strange scar spreading across his cheek, and that resulted in a physiological change. He finds himself somewhat slower afoot than he had before. And now Clark returns back to the pillbox in which they've all hid. Are people awake? Are people resting? Are people unable to rest at the moment? They have that strange pillar propped up on one side of the room. The room, like everything else, is made of the same dark stone. A little bit shiny, where people have been, moving up against it. Especially the bed. The top part is shiny, where the Lord Telmar had probably rested many, many nights.
How long do we have?
Who knows?
Because I know, like, when we got there, I was studying the pillar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Make an Arcana roll.
Right. 8 plus 13. 21.
As you stare at this, first of all, you had already detected a strange form of magic, uncategorizable by your wizardly training. It didn't fit specifically in any of the categories, but it was powerful, and if you had to describe it, you would describe it as radiant, godlike power. As you look at the carvings upon it, you see the carvings, first of all, had to have been made with something extraordinarily strong, because this is a very dense, thick substance. They're done with care, as if the person had taken not only an amount of time to make the carvings, but also paid close attention. And with, you would almost say, reverence, carving out, shaving small pieces off of this. The carvings themselves depict scenes of, or a scene essentially, of a wave that slowly crests and crests around the bottom or the base of this pillar, and then a creature, something feminine, although it is worn a little bit from time, large wings that look not quite like a feather, something denser than that, standing as though riding upon this wave all the way to the top. The pillar itself stood, I think, almost 6 feet tall, as I said. So
seven.
Hmm?
7.
7
He's
feet
taller
tall.
than all of us.
Is it still taller than you, Zacchus?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm only 6'6" now.
Zacchus, I don't want to say suffered, more experienced a transformation in a zone of unusual magical effect, and has become considerably taller than original. So you can also imagine this now nearly 7 foot elf.
6'6".
6 foot
Six,
6.
He used to be 5'8".
So somewhat stretched out and thinner.
That's one way to look thinner.
Whatever this is, and it also, from the evidence you saw of the golem itself, this is an item that could be harnessed for power. You noticed necromantic energy, I believe, around the pillar in the golem itself, as well as something else.
Necromantic and
Transmutation.
Transmutation as well, yes. Kind of swirling around, wrapping almost around it like a cage. The substance does not appear to be entirely stone either. So how it was carved is still a bit of a mystery. Let me say at this point, well, actually, what are, if anything, Ironbound and Elzera up to in the meantime?
Elzera is making the conspiracy map.
Okay, so you pulled out some paper, and that's right. Are attempting to put all the different pieces together.
Because, like, we're at a point now that, like, pieces are starting to kind of line up, and, like, honestly, me, the player, is kind of lost.
Fair enough. How about Ironbound?
Could he have purchased a small piece of just rough cloth on the way back?
Yes. There's cloth that appears to be made of the same sort of hair weavings you've seen before.
Sure,
For the
that's
most
fine.
part, that's almost all that you find. Anything that actually resembles cloth seems to cost a lot more, as though it's extraordinarily rare.
I'm just looking for something that, basically he could wad up in a vial. And basically what he's going to do is take the some of the blow darts he's got. He's going to put some cloth into one of the vials of poison and then the darts into it and then cap it.
Oh, okay.
So that when he needs to, he can basically pop the cap off and then just pull out one of the darts to fit in the blowgun and use it.
For a Numa, you can pick up one.
It's 10th? Okay.
I believe so. My own cheat sheet here. I should move away from my screen.
Okay, that's basically what he'll be doing is he has 10 blow darts, so he'll put 5 in each one. I mean,
Okay.
they've got 6 doses each, but 5's fine.
Okay. And you found that at the seemingly ever-going market.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go out with Clark to the market?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I left, and I met up with Clark before we actually got back.
So you'd be the first to notice his somewhat strange, stilted movement, as well as this.
Well, I noticed the big yellow scar on his face.
That too.
That's new.
Yep.
You okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
The two most laconic characters exchange a flurry of words, and then
Hey.
make
It's
their way
as
back.
chatty as they get.
That's true. That's true.
Ironbound doesn't judge people on their appearance.
The pillar inside the golem, did it have the exact same markings as the one we have in the house?
Impossible to tell from the distance you were at. It looked like it was a similar shape, and it is actually pillar shaped with a flat top on the top and a flat top on the bottom, or flat top on the bottom, a flat bottom. So it looks like it's been carved out of a larger piece.
Because there was a mention last time that the markings were very similar to the ones from the Scholars of the Water.
That's right. Same style as they had used.
Yeah. Yes, and Emerald won't answer me, and I wouldn't message him questions about the Scholars of the Water at all because he kind of told me not to. I was going to do something and I forgot what it was.
Well, as you contemplate the stone, you make your way back to the
We'll
pillbox.
enter with care, because often we've been known to trap our own doors.
As you move along, you notice that there is an ever-present bustle in the city. Not of excitedly moving around, just constant motion. One of the things that I guess I didn't mention in the beginning that you noticed fairly early coming into this land was a sort of ever-presence of a never-dawning sun. It's like there's a glow on the horizon, never blooms into a full day.
Right.
The only other major light that you could see from any distance at all was the two twin burning fiery circles that seemed to be the Ember Skull, as people have mentioned it before.
Right.
But the city, to use an earthbound phrase, it is a city that never sleeps, or at least never seems to be stopped.
Right.
You enter with care. I don't think anybody of those two would have set any traps.
He's the
No.
trapper. You two are the people who trap doors.
True. But
Yeah, we're
nonetheless,
probably safe.
with a bit of care in you two. Maybe, I don't know if you have a secret knock or anything established at this point. But there would be a call from the door.
We'll probably identify ourselves.
So while there's a brief moment as you're interrupted in your thinking, and you're also interrupted in your staring as you realize the door is opening, but Clark and Ironbound are there. Clark looking visibly different, however. Describe what the scar looks like.
As I understand it, it's a yellow ripple up the right hand cheek, and it's gross and bruisey and pussy looking.
I drop what I'm doing.
And it probably looks older than a recent wound.
It definitely has
Yeah.
aged quickly,
Yeah.
and you can feel this stiffness in your muscles.
Yeah, and Clark moves slightly more conservatively. He doesn't just stride right in.
I drop what I'm doing and run over. What happened?
And I'll
Nothing.
turn around.
That's not nothing.
It seems like the
Don't
opposite of
concern
nothing.
yourself with it. It's a debt paid.
Oh, the merchant. Shadowy guy.
This makes leaving more complicated.
Probably. But I'd rather do it honestly.
Okay. Now I feel very guilty. I'm going to go back to trying to figure out what's going on.
Now is when you see Ironbound opening up small vials of something that smells toxic and wadding cloth in and putting darts.
Is my detect magic still on?
No, it would have passed by now.
Do you need help with those?
I'm good.
Okay.
Hey, because
He seems to do so expertisely because he actually has poison kit.
And his slender fingers make easy work of it as well.
Yep. Yeah. To me, these darts are like this long, but you guys are like that.
Because that gibberish they were speaking back in the caves. Like, I know multiple languages. I'm very good at languages, but that one I didn't recognize. Did
Please,
you know
call
what
me
it was?
Ironbound.
All right.
That is deep speech.
Deep speech.
Yes, spoken by things from other realms. Not demons or devils, but
What sorts
Other
of
things.
other realms? If you learned it in Vatur, or being...
I learned it in the cult.
Okay.
It is what the things with the tentacles spoke.
They actually didn't
spoke.
speak aloud. They spoke telepathically for the most part.
Well, beholders as well.
Yeah, those
speak
things
it.
would have, yes.
Only the aberrations speak this language?
They're the only ones I know of spoke it.
All right. And I'll go back to what I'm doing.
Okay.
Then he starts putting darts into something that smells less toxic and way more funky.
Oh.
Are we talking
The hallucinogens.
old socks funky or
Kind of, sort of.
Probably, I don't know. What do drugs smell like? I'm
What do
assuming
drugs-
this is from a certain special type of mushroom, so it smells probably a little fungusy.
It probably smells as though it had gone off. It's probably the way it would smell for the most
It
part.
smells like a really good day that's gone off.
So, are you going to be doing anything tonight, or are you proceeding to take a rest for the evening?
Clark will probably take a watch if people want to get some rest.
Yeah, I'll take a watch as well.
I'll take some rest if everybody else volunteers to take a watch.
I would say you can help me try to...
Conspiracy map.
I mean, I'm working on the conspiracy map. I'm actually like... it's what I'm doing here, keeping myself busy. But no, if you want to help me sleep...
Right, I still have enough energy to...
You
Dispel
still have
whatever.
the vial that was
Yep.
given you.
Yeah, he wouldn't take it back.
Yeah, I still have enough
Which was an
energy.
option.
I mean, I don't trust that stuff. The dispels seemed... I think it was dispel magic
Yeah,
that we just
like
did.
highest level dispel.
Yeah. I think I actually have... Well, that's skills, not spells.
Clark won't offer it again.
Dyslexia. Great.
Clark won't offer it again.
Okay.
What is this?
At some point, because I may ask to borrow it for a while. It's like, more darts.
Hand you the vial.
It's a crude vial actually carved out of stone, but carved thinly enough. And somehow they managed to make it hollow as well.
Yeah, I think the other ones I had were stone as well.
Yeah.
So I'll take all my magical items off of me, and actually, without Zacchus's help, I can cast Dispel Magic as well. So
Okay.
I'll cast a level 6 Dispel Magic on myself.
Okay. What does Dispel Magic look when you cast it? Given you're a druid.
It's coming out of my focus. It's
Your focus is what, for those who don't know?
It's a staff that was carved by the person who convinced me to become a druid.
So
Old Fen.
it would be from the quiver that you draw this massive staff, because you
Yeah.
don't really carry it around that much.
Yeah. And it has like these. It's a plain staff about. I picture it about this color, and it has like a very light green stain to the leaves that are carved into it.
Okay.
So, and I take that out, and I just basically in this case, because I'm casting it on myself, I think it would be very focused on me and just bring all the energy that would crawl up over me while I'm holding the staff.
Okay. I would imagine that when you cast your vocal components are probably a little bit more like almost birdsong or something like that,
Yeah.
rather than the either the harsh forcing that the wizards tend to do, or others.
Yeah.
You cast the spell, and you can all of you see the effect of the spell crawl over Elzera. You feel no different, but the spell was cast, and it seems to have been successful.
Did I feel different last time we did this?
Yes.
Okay. Well, hopefully that worked.
You still feel quite tired.
I mean,
You have 2 levels of exhaustion to be mechanical.
to be fair. We'll see if that worked. If I start screaming, just kick me.
I will gently rock you awake.
Watch
I
it.
look at Clark. Kick me.
Sorry.
So,
I'm gonna cast a sending before resting, if that's okay.
sure.
It's gonna be to what's his name, Damon Triask in the Serene Temple.
You already
Okay.
sent one last session, didn't you?
Not
Could
today.
send another.
No.
You
Okay.
sent one to Imrol, and I believe.
And 2 sessions ago, I was like, "How do we escape the shadow?" And
No,
there was
because I
answer.
think he sent one to Damon Trask, but he never got a response.
No, I wrote it down. I just think we never got to sending
Okay.
before the session ended.
Okay.
Cool.
So I added a few more words, which
Okay.
is at 19.
Well, why don't you read out the message for those at home?
Okay. It's Zacchus. We are in the shadow. Found bone pillars with Paluxia markings. Bones from a large creature. Help?
Okay. Roll a percentage die for me, please.
Wait, that's a d20. Herp de derp.
Works
Zacchus
well
is
enough.
smart. He can counting.
It's crude, but yeah, you could do a d20.
D10, where are you? Okay. 14.
14. You do feel the message, the magic leave, and the message is sent. There is no response.
Would messaging a ghost result in a response? Probably.
I think metagaming, we decided, I think, that it wasn't going to work.
What?
Or that
forgot.
Damon Trask was a special case,
There was,
possibly.
I mean, Amrud would remember that Damon
Mhm.
was able to reach him in a different way.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if you've ever done messaging directly. to
I think
Damon.
I tried it, but then afterwards it's like, yeah, this is getting too easy to figure out if someone's dead or not. So,
You did?
Can I send the same message to Amrun then?
You can certainly try.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. Again, roll a percentage.
I'm not supposed to talk to Amrun, but I mean, if Emerald's not answering, he's not going to be spying either. 65.
55. Again, the magic leaves you, and you feel it go with certainty.
Yeah.
And you sit and you wait for that response. Sometimes it takes a minute or two as the person you're sending it to has to disengage from whatever activity they're doing to focus on this for a moment. But then no response comes.
Maybe he's mad at me. I suppose I was a bit abrupt when I last spoke with him. I think to myself. Alright, no sendings have been working so far. Ah, crap, I'm out of level 3 spells.
everyone's known for being angry at people.
Totally.
Elzara, are
The
you asleep?
Elzara is rubbing off on him.
Elzara, are you asleep?
You're sort of just getting under the edge of it. You can see that she's definitely laying down and quiet. I'm sure she would wake up pretty quickly.
Hey, Clark, are you asleep?
Clark's on watch,
He's on
sharpening
watch.
his weapons.
So, I know you said you don't like magic, but would you be willing to assist me with an experiment tomorrow? See, I've been trying to contact, by magical means, people who we know in Vatur. Like Damon Triask, Imrul, Amrun, but nobody's answering. So I'm wondering if sending by magical means is being blocked somehow, so would it be possible if tomorrow, if I have any energy left at the end of the day, whatever days are, if I sent you a message by magical means and you can tell me if you received it or not. Because you're right here, so I don't have to... Yay? Nay?
Clark will look around at the other two people sitting in the room. I'm probably not the best choice.
Ironbound, are you awake?
I am now.
Yeah,
Did
Ironbound
you hear
was
what you
resting
said?
to take the other
Yes.
two.
So can we try that tomorrow?
You can try it now if you want to.
I'm out of energy right now. I'm too tired.
Tomorrow's fine.
Alright, cool. Remind me, okay? Or I'll just write it down in my... on a piece of parchment. And I'll go to sleep.
Clark, you're on watch.
Yeah.
Ironbound is curled up in a corner like a cat.
Okay. Does he actually look like a cat at the moment?
Slightly more cat-like.
He could
Have I
look-
seen any animals around at all?
Yes, because you summoned some.
Have I seen any animals other than the ones that I
Not
summoned?
particularly, no.
Okay. No, he'll just look like his normal self, actually.
Okay. Relaxing and comfort. Clark,
Yeah,
you take the first watch.
Yep.
Looks like it's 2 watches.
sure.
It's difficult to know how much time is passing, but the familiar rhythm of cleaning and sharpening and examining your weapons is a ritual you remember very well from being basically a mercenary, for being a soldier for hire. And it seems to put your mind at ease, although you find your hands crimping up a little bit from the practice. That's never happened before. You feel your bones. It's not entirely unlike something that your father would say from time to time about how he feels his age and his bones the worst. And you start to think back to him in his shop and kind of wondering what's happening with him. And then the voices from the glaive seem to chorus in response to this memory,
Right.
in response to the routine. It is almost as though they are anticipating the use of the weapons, and they are encouraging it. Aside from that, nothing seems to change all that much. There's no change in the light that is emitted through the small block-like carvings that are windows in this small pillbox. There is the constant noise of people outside, not very loud, but as all the sounds inside turn to snoring, and that's the only noise that's coming around.
Clark will have a gander around his party mates when his brain is thinking about perhaps unleashing violence, and then he turns his brain to other
very,
thoughts.
Very easy. And there's a sort of chorus in your mind when you even just contemplate the idea.
Murdering your party mates?
Look over and you realize
We have a grog.
Ironbound is sleeping with his eyes open.
That'd be creepy.
Clark will, once he's had a taste of that, he'll switch to a different weapon and focus on it.
Okay. There is a feeling of sadness as you set it aside and move back to your much more familiar weapons. Time passes. It's difficult to say exactly how much, but you can feel the weight of the day. You can feel yourself getting tired, and from your experience being a soldier, you feel the shift is over.
Okay. He'll find somebody else and give him a kick.
Ironbound was
me
the other
next.
that volunteered for.
Yeah, he'll go over and
I'll do the other 4 hours.
give him a little
after my meditation.
push with his foot. Not really a kick. He's tiny.
Yeah,
I'm going to bed.
no problem.
Clark will find a nice quiet corner.
Okay. There's one that's still warm where, well, actually, you're cold-blooded, aren't you? So it wouldn't be that warm.
Not exactly. I mean,
Clark will find a different corner.
yeah.
My own
There are
corner.
still the other 2 rooms as well. This is a sort of main central room, and then there's the 2 sort of offshoots that are bed-like, but they're really the large pillars or large rock slabs.
yeah.
One of which covered still by that beard blanket.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
If anyone else is using it.
I think they were kind of creeped out by it a bit, but
Yeah.
it's surprisingly warm and
Okay.
snug, and you fall into a deep black sleep.
Backpack pillow.
There you go.
Yeehaw.
Ironbound. You come awake, you see this small area, you see the small holes in the stone around the door where you placed your traps the previous night. You could easily set them up again, but nothing has bothered the door. There hasn't been so much as a knock or anything else.
No, I'll. One of the things I have on me actually is just a small pack of sticks that I
Okay.
picked up. I'm going to take and snap one of the thicker ones off and shave it down and make a little wedge. I'm going to stick that on the bottom of the door and pound it in a little.
Okay.
That'll be fine for slowing people down if they want to come in.
Are you trying to do this quietly or?
Fairly quietly.
Okay.
Uh,
After a few
he'll
minutes.
put like some cloth on it and just a little tap, tap, tap.
Okay. You feel satisfied that the door would, at the very least, make a loud noise with the wood either splintering or screeching across the floor.
Yeah.
Someone forced it open. But remarkably, looking at the door, you realize there's really not much in the way of normal locks. It has a catch, but that's not even that strong. Most of it seems to be made of that simple stone. The catch itself, as you kind of look at it, you notice that it actually has been broken and repaired. You can see a small crack across it, as though it were kicked in.
Does the door look ill-fitting in any way? Like there might be like cracks that someone could just slide something thin through and lift the catch? Or is it close enough that they wouldn't be able to do that easily?
As you look closer, you do note that there would be enough room to get something very, very thin in.
So this is really not a secure place.
No, not at all.
Probably not. I mean, it's a place there doesn't seem to be much worth stealing off of each other other than the boons that they're giving out. And that, I mean, you can't steal someone's second head.
The blanket was still here.
Maybe.
And the cube meat. That's the thing.
Although, I mean, it's been theoretically a couple of days and I still don't feel hungry.
Nope, not at all. You feel a little bit thirsty, but not hungry.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a lot worth stealing, at least. I mean, not here. Maybe there's some rich underboss person here that would have stuff, but...
You reflect back a bit on the people you've seen throughout the day and note that a lot of them had ragged-looking clothing, as if it hadn't been repaired and worn out over time. Some of it was patched and pieced, hair being the one thing that seemed to be used as string and material most consistently, although they did wear cloth, and it would be patched and fixed with hair. You also noted that people didn't carry all that much. People would, into the mine and out of the mine, carried simple tools. Some of them did seem to have some metal, but not a lot.
I will check the faces of my companions.
Okay.
And just looking closely at all three of them. Are any of them growing like that weird hair they get on their faces?
You start with Zacchus. His body is already strangely shaped for being an elf. You've seen a number of elves, but it feels like it's distorted somehow. It feels like it's thinner than it should be. You've known a few elves over time, one in particular very closely. And one of the things you noted about her was that she didn't change all that much. You think that's the right term, she. And you're not sure which applies to Zacchus.
I mean, she never had facial hair.
What is a Zacchus?
Zacchus does not have facial hair and does not seem to have any change in their face. Again, aside from noting that strangeness of the shape of the body somewhat. Probably still an elf, if that's the right term for it, but maybe has a strange line or lineage.
Yeah, he's got the pokey ears.
It's true.
Not as pokey,
true.
though.
Yeah, that's fine.
As you look at Elzera's face, again, no sign of any sort of hair growing. One of the things that you would notice is that she's turned a bit in her sleep, and seems to have almost held the staff that she was using before very closely, almost hugging it. Her hair seems somewhat disheveled, which from what you've seen is probably going to bother her in the morning. But it doesn't seem to be any different. You kind of reach out tentatively and tug a strand to see if it's grown at all. doesn't seem to. It's very soft, very strange.
No feathers growing.
Kind of look closely, and no, not
Okay.
quite. But you haven't seen her face, or their face, his face? You're not really sure. Haven't seen their face on a regular basis yet.
Yeah. Nope.
Haven't made this close an observation. When you do look
This
at
is
the
your baseline.
When you do look at the face, however, you do note that the last day her face was somewhat contorted, almost in a strange agony. Now the face looks blank, as if she's left the body for the moment, which sometimes happens, you hear, to people, but you're not quite sure if that's what's happened this time. At the very least, it seems peaceful.
Yeah, he's no nightmares.
Finally, we look at Clark. It's strange, this change that came over him, this yellow scar that seemed to sprout across his face. You can see now that some of the puffiness and some of the liquidity of the scar when it first appeared has settled in, and the skin is starting to smooth over it, now ridged in this pattern, almost as though it's like an impact in water, an impact in the cheek that spread outward from there. You can see a tightening in the face, as though some of the muscle has tensed around that, distorting the eye ever so slightly, but not much. The hair, as it touches this, you now see is starting to lighten, as though it is aging and growing older, as I realize my own is actually doing the same. But you're clean shaven normally, are you, as Clark?
More or less.
More or less? Okay.
I mean, I assume he shaves just as
Okay.
a part of his routine.
He doesn't groom towards a beard or mustache or anything like that.
No,
It's-
not really,
okay.
no.
From what you can see, there does not seem to be any growth that you had noticed before. It seems to lessen somewhere around the scar, but the small amount of growth that's there doesn't seem any more significant. On his face, you see one thing that kind of surprises you. You know that when people dream, oftentimes their eyes will move. The weirdness to you is noting that the eyes are moving, but separately, as though they're each following something different.
Weird. I will at some point during the shift just sit down and quietly, ritually cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
And then I'll check out Clark with it to see if the scar shows anything. Other than that, I'll just take a look around and use it as any magic looking at us. No.
Okay. As you patter out a small rhythm on your drum, suddenly the world becomes alive a little bit. That little small edge that all things give off of magic, especially life, that you can discount most of the time. But in this particular space, it feels almost as though the very sense that you have of you, yourself, and the three others that are with you, of magic itself, of life itself, it's almost brilliant. Maybe it's because you hadn't noticed it before, or there were more brilliant things around, but it seems as though it's invigorated slightly. The pillar, as before, is glowing with a fairly strong inner magic, a passive magic almost, a pure energy itself. You know the various bits and bobs of each person's armor and equipment that give off some magic. You notice a strong magic coming from the glaive, its blade now folded downward as it's put recessed aside by Clark. The scar itself does radiate some magic, a sort of ongoing effect. It is a mixture of a dark strand which kind of weaves its way out almost in a spiral pattern following the pattern of the scar itself, as well as a red spark, essentially, that kind of comes out of the centerpiece and just seems to jump along the edge of it. The combination of magic in the schools of magic would be necromancy and evocation.
The last thing I'll do is just...
Oh, actually, there will be one slight thing.
Okay.
And that is just an edge of pure white, tainted with that sort of inky black right around the edges of his right eyelid. Same side where the scar is. Almost as though it's following the eye itself, but covered by the eyelid.
Okay, so it's an inky black.
It's pure white
Oh,
with
pure
an
white.
inky
Oh, sorry.
black in it. You would know this as the School of Divination.
Interesting. Before I go waking everyone up towards the end of the shift.
You're not waking everyone up. That's 4 hours in.
Yeah, I mean, we can each do 6 hours. That will give each of us 6 hours and you guys 12.
I think
a nice long rest.
the intention was that only the two of them are going
Yeah.
to do shifts.
That's all we were thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I meditate for 4. You guys do two and 2, and then I do the other 4.
They had intended to just do the
Yeah,
shifts
I mean,
by
you
themselves.
could
to
have
get a
your
long
4 at any
rest,
point in there.
To get a long rest, you have to do 6 hours of sleep.
I thought it was-
Yeah, yeah.
So-
That's why if we each do 6, the other person gets 6. It's a 12-hour shift instead of 8. But yeah, I mean, if you wake up during that and want to
Yeah.
do shift stuff, that's fine.
Yeah.
Clark likes extra sleep. Sure.
We'll say this: Elzara won't be waking on her own.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if she's meditating, then she's like semi-conscious, anyways.
She's sort of slumped into a pile at the moment, with a very blank expression on her
Yeah.
face.
If she doesn't wake up by herself, Ironbound is not going to go waking her from rest. But he will take a few items. He pulls out a couple of little cloth dolls
Okay.
and a candle. And I'm going to cast Tiny Servant
Okay.
at level 4. So I animate the 3 of them.
So what does it look like when you cast the spell? How do you describe it?
Well, again, it's actually, what does it require? Oh, it says verbal and somatic. Basically, it would probably be a low-level song, not
Okay.
loud enough to wake anyone up, but just persistent. I think it takes. Yeah, it's 1 minute to cast. So he would basically be singing this thing, which is just kind of building and building and building. And he probably has the 3 things set out, I mean, on the floor, and he probably does a few like tracings around them. There's no actual material component, but I figured it'd be something like he'd at least have a circle with the 3 of them in it.
Okay.
And then, upon completing it, he goes and breathes onto each of them, the faces of the dolls, and just the top of the candle. And then, yes, the dolls would stand up, and the candle would grow arms and legs. And then
a trick you've pulled many times, probably one you learned from your elven friend, to do this little.
oh,
this little
she's the one that
magic.
taught him to be a bard, so yeah.
As yes, the dolls kind of pop up their heads, looking around with, I think, faceless heads.
I think they're probably simple dolls, but they would have like little eyes and a mouth on them or something. But the mouth doesn't open; it's just there.
Kind of hop up to attention. The candle starts to waddle in your direction.
And then he will get them to hang onto his backpack.
Okay. The knock it off. You're not a candlestick. The 2 dolls manage to kind of wrap their hands around the edges of the bag and try to haul on.
Yeah, he's got stuff on the outside of it too, like there's a hammer and a little roll of sticks and stuff.
The
so.
candle is having a little bit of trouble because it realizes if it dips too far forward, it's going to light up part
Well,
of
it's not
the
lit.
cloth. Oh, it's not lit.
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Well,
actually something he doesn't know is how does the state of the thing handle that. So if he lights the candle and then the candle gets killed, what is it turns back into the candle, and the original candle's there, taking blow-through damage, but would it be lit? So he may try some experiments on exactly what this is going to lead to.
It's a little more awkward given that the limbs aren't naturally part of its form, but it does sort of
Yeah, it's
scamper
kind of
up to the very
extruded
top.
out. It's got little Mickey Mouse hands.
It manages to get a good solid grip.
Yep.
How long do they last?
8 hours.
Okay. And you're doing this towards the end of what you think is probably the...
Yeah, so we'll have them for like half the day or something.
Okay.
Quick question to the DM: how wide is the pillar?
It is about between a foot and a half diameter. So, or actually, probably closer to 2 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's big enough that you could carry it on a shoulder. So.
Yeah, it's very, very heavy.
Okay, so 2 feet wide.
Approximately, yeah.
For the sake of mechanics,
Mhm.
has Clark gotten a full rest, or will he?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. How does Ironbound deal with the uncertainty of how much time has passed?
He's lived in, well, for one, when he was young, they lived in caves for part of it. In the caves, it's really hard to tell what time passes. While he was with the Fae, that was kind of a timeless period. And when he was under the mental domination of the cult, he was just up and down
Has he ever
as they were.
experienced time? Maybe this is the better way to put it.
Time
Well,
is fake.
half his life it was fine, but I'm picturing when he was being held by the Fae, it was probably just endless day, similar to this. And with the cult, it was just he was awake when they needed him, and he was asleep when they didn't need him. So he probably just sort of puts himself to. I mean, we don't really have any basic tasks because we don't have to make breakfast or anything, but. Right now, probably pondering about what he might be able to do to help these three get out of here,
Okay.
which really isn't much.
Okay. As you start to replay the day or the days, depending on how you consider it, one of the biggest things that worries you is while this is not entirely dissimilar to some of the underground realms you've been in, beneath the city of Atur or elsewhere, there was a sense of cycle there that doesn't seem to be here.
Yep.
The other is you're not really sure about who all the players are, who is actually doing things. Some things have been described to you like the Lord of Shadow. But one of the things that bothers you is not knowing the pathways. You will need either to get a guide or need some other direction. As you contemplate all of these things, you start to realize that your body has been sitting for a moment or two, and a little bit of tension. You stretch yourself out and realize this is probably a time to wake them. Who do you wake first?
Clark.
Okay. As you go over to Clark, you notice
The other two are weak and casters.
you notice now that the eyes are no longer moving, the dreaming has ended, but there is a bit of a grimace forming on his face, and you can see the edge of a sharp tooth as you wake him up. The last thing you remember before being... How are you waking him up?
I will probably go to about 3 feet away and go,
Drop kick.
Okay.
yeah.
So, one note, probably not right next to the microphone for the snapping. I just realized
Hey, let's make it realistic.
Woke up folks at home as well. The last thing you remember before kind of coming to yourself and some of those instincts kept kicking in. You know, when you're on the trail, when you're doing the work, and your lieutenant or captain comes over to you and gets you to wake up. There's an instinct to instantly come awake from that. But there's an image that haunts you for a second or two, kind of on the inside of your eyes almost. It is of a massive toad-like demon which you are facing down, while two other strange things fly overhead. And you can see Elzera, and you can see Zakis, and you can see Amrun. And a glowing red on the horizon, almost like here, but as if it emanates from the floor itself, as a strange, cackling woman rides this contraption made of bones. It feels familiar somehow. As you come awake and see Ironbound standing over you, snapping his fingers, and you are awake. You did get a full night's rest.
Okay. My turn? My turn?
No, you did yours first.
I assume it's my turn again.
No, I think we're good.
Alright. I'm gonna look and see if I can find any of those cubes left over.
Okay.
Whatever's left of them, we'll cook them.
Okay. You don't feel particularly hungry. There's a little bit of almost a salty taste in your mouth, and you kind of rub the corner of your mouth. You find a little dry spittle on the edge of your mouth. Are you going to proceed to wake the rest?
Not at the yet, because there's magic in that scar. Necromancy, energy, divination.
Magic?
Yes, and it is affecting your eye.
Probably.
While you dreamt, your eyes were in different directions.
That's odd.
Yes.
There's a conversation.
I
waiting
thought
out.
you should know. No.
No,
I'm doing this
they-
very quiet.
Both of them are used to speaking quietly and hearing of the others quietly, so I'm assuming they are.
I thought you should know. I will not tell the others if that is your wish.
Yeah, do what you want. They might be able to tell more from it than I can.
Mm.
As he mentions your eyes, you get that sort of feeling. You know, you kind of have to rub your eyes a little bit, a little bit of soreness from them, but you slept on stone, so.
Let's go whoever's closest next. I'll wake up Elzara and then him.
Okay.
Again, I'll just snap fingers near them, and then if they don't get up, I'll shake them. I'm less worried about how they wake up.
At the first snap, Elzara does not rise. So you give her a bit of a shake. It is as though you're rising from deep underwater. Not scary or painful. Just everything else is muted and quiet. And as you wake, and as you realize you're being shaken slightly, you are greeted with a smell that you not expect.
Oops.
A slightly, a slightly sweet smell, in fact. And you kind of lick your lips, and the weird passing of a familiar taste, a somewhat bitter and sweet taste of wild thornberry. When you remember that strange plant that is yellow with, make sure I get that right, yellow with white tips, that has a small red berry. Best when cooked, but occasionally you would eat a few fresh. Back when you and Riordan were getting to know each other better. It's not entirely unpleasant, just unexpected.
It's the second day that this has happened.
Uh-huh.
And you awake feeling refreshed. One exhaustion level is gone.
Woo! I can move again.
It's like, hey, Zacchus.
Is that how you want to confront Zacchus? Zacchus is
No.
probably sitting facing the pillar, still kind of half in contemplation, just sort of collapsed where he was.
With like a sketch of the markings in the book.
I would have
Probably.
taken his blanket out of his pack and put it over him.
Okay.
That's so different from like slapping in the face.
No, I do the same thing. Just snap my fingers near his ears, and if that doesn't do it, I'll shake him. If
With
that
this-
doesn't do it, then I'll slap him.
With the snapping, Zacchus, you feel yourself awoken. You feel stiff. You kind of don't remember falling asleep. In the first thing you see as you wake up is the pillar itself, and then you kind of focus in on the smaller creature snapping its fingers right in front of you.
Right, I must have fallen asleep. I'll look in my book, because let's assume I was making a copy of the diagrams on the pillar and the pillar itself. Just like...
There's a bit of a stream on the corner where you kind of started to fall asleep in the middle of writing that
Big,
down.
big pool of drool all over it.
Not on the book. On the floor maybe, but not on the book. Yeah, so I'll just continue that.
Okay, so you
quick.
immediately kind of set
Yeah.
right everything and start. The unfortunately, the streak of ink has dried now, so that's kind of permanent
Yeah.
paper now.
I can just retranscribe it to something else later. I
You
just
shake
want-
up the ink
yeah.
a little bit to get the top part off of the little surface that's formed on it. Feels like you got enough ink. You should be fine.
Okay.
I try prestidigitating the ink stain off of that part of the book. I have no idea if it works or not. I just try it. I'm trying to clean that part of that page.
Make an Arcana check.
It's not magical ink or anything. It's just like...
His effect is magical though.
20.
20. Okay. With a fair amount of precision, you see Ironbound kind of wave his hand and point his finger over that dark streak of ink. And for a moment, you're thinking he's going to go too far, he's going to go too far, and he stops just before it gets into the rest of the diagram.
Well then. Everyone used to do that too. Thanks.
And then he didn't, and then he did again.
And I'll just like touch it to make sure, like, cool.
Yeah, the paper's perfectly clear.
I mean, only that extra mark, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Copy.
Okay, so you're just turning right back to the pillar then.
Yeah.
What are the rest of you doing as you wake up?
I'd set my spells for the day.
Okay. So you begin a little running through, probably sitting still and imagining yourself running through a green forest. The different mnemonic tricks that you were probably taught about how to conjure forth these spells. Imagining that, talk to plants, and you imagine a little flower with a mouth shape on it, and so you kind of remember the whole sequence of that and moving through. I'm not sure if that's one of the spells you're choosing,
probably not.
You haven't seen any plants. You notice on Clark, you had seen the scar last night. It seems to have solidified somewhat since last night. It no longer has the appearance of being immediately like a bruise, so much as it's settled into a permanent part of his face.
First, I sent him on, like, this whole existential crisis. Now he has a scar because of me. Elzara is not, like, she is very stressed now because she's causing problems, and her family is involved in all of this, and just, she just wants to curl up in a ball and not be involved in any of this anymore.
As a complex series of emotions filters over her face. You find yourself kind of staring at Clark, and you find Elzara kind of staring at you as you kind of do your morning stretches.
We'll worry. As she does.
Kind of doing your normal calisthenic morning, and you just sort of like, it's going to be a little harder in the morning now.
Clark will look to Zacchus.
Mm-hmm.
See you're writing some things.
Yeah.
Can I have some implements to write a thing?
Yes. Would I have a second?
You'd have a spare quill.
Okay.
You, of all people, would have a spare quill.
Definitely.
It's not a fancy quill, but it would be a functional one.
It works.
And you have the one store of ink, but you have a lot of ink.
Okay. Certainly. Here, I need it back afterwards, just in case I lose mine.
Certainly. Clark will attempt to sketch what he saw.
Okay.
As best he can. I'm trying to look it up now, but I'm assuming performance might be sketching.
That's about the
art or painting or that sort of
closest,
thing.
yeah. There are trainings in like art supplies or art and painting.
Right. Well, he's not looking to get a masterpiece. He's just looking to get a rough idea.
Okay. Well, make a performance roll.
And the idea is to get it out of his head and onto
right.
paper. Performance.
Actually, you get advantage on this roll.
Okay, then. 13.
13.
Yeah.
As you start to sketch out the basics of it, and at first you're concerned because, like most dreams, they fleet very quickly once you wake. And so you're sort of sketching out and trying to remember the focus of the head of this thing. That was one of the more distinctive things, and you start to sketch that out. Then you kind of, on an instinct, add this sort of two pillars, and then you draw another thing across the two pillars, and then there was, for some strange reason, you draw a fire, and there are two just stick figures really standing by the fire, and then you start to draw a bookshelf for some reason. And you're starting to realize that instead of fleeting, the memory's almost getting stronger, or the images are getting stronger.
As he does so, Clark's going to try something and squint his now bad eye.
Okay.
And try to, as a mnemonic to sort of remember what he just saw as he awoke, and hopefully there'll be something there, and if not, whatever.
You wince with a little bit of pain as the skin around that eye is actually tightening up a little bit from the scar. Mm-hmm. But you kind of focus in and kind of squint that particular eye and look and draw.
Well, he'd like to actually close it.
Close the other eye.
He wants to look kind of through the lid.
So you kind of close the other eye and squint with this one and start to do it.
Well, the other way.
It's the right-hand side, right?
Yeah, so he wants to close this eye.
Oh, close that eye.
To see,
Okay.
to try to remember what he saw
Okay, I see.
and draw with this eye.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And as you do, it is as though some of it is being played out on that eye now, strangely enough. And you have a bit of double vision because of the thing you're now focusing on to actually draw with and the replaying of this.
Clark will slow down.
It's getting harder and a bit more crude as you get around the edges. And it's really not a scene so much as small snippets of different things that you can't really put together until finally you find yourself kind of on one corner of the page drawing what looks at first as like a large circle, and then you draw two other circles above it, and then you kind of look back and it's some sort of large skull, larger in proportion than anything else that's on the page.
Okay. Does it look like I'm roughly in the neighborhood of what I saw? Because he doesn't want to overdraw. He just wants to get the...
What's worse is it feels like
base.
you kind of remembered more the more you pushed on it.
Right.
And all of it feels like what you saw. You just didn't remember it as you woke.
Okay.
But you still don't really know what it all means.
Okay. He'll hand the supplies and the paper to Zacchus.
With the drawing on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's this?
I don't know. You tell me.
Make a history check.
There should be some familiar faces.
15 plus, I forget if it's 8 or 9. 9. So 24.
Okay.
Math.
As you look at the page and the different segments that he's drew, one of the things stands out right away, and that's that strange pair of pillars with the one across it. Well, that looks like the Arch of Tendu that you found. You've seen a couple of them, but then there's a sort of toad head, massive toad head kind of hanging off in the background. Well, you remember that demon that you fought. And then, yeah, there was this set of bookshelves with a big library that you found as well, and you start to put it all together and go, oh yeah, this is snippets from the from Bone Twitch's lair.
Okay.
And then you sort of realize that
Forgot about that.
Clark did not remember any of that,
Oh, right.
because when you left, he had no idea what had happened.
I forgot about that confirmed link.
As you go right back to the conspiracy.
Yes.
This is... It seems like our wonderful adventures in Bone Twitch's lair, but... I thought you had no memory of what had happened.
I don't. I blacked out, and I wound up on the other end of that adventure, as I understand it. Whatever happened.
Do you remember some of it now? Now that you've drawn this?
Nope. I think that's you, and I think that's Emron.
Okay.
And actually, his guess at that was better than yours, because it was more or less stick figures. Mostly the stick figures are kind of in beside the giant toad-headed thing and the strange bone chair that Bone Twitch had built. The two by the fire, though, you recognize those as the two other hags that you encountered while you were in there.
Did any of these stand out in particular in whatever prompted you to draw this?
No,
Was it from a dream, or
I think so.
do you think it has anything to do with your recently acquired facial modification?
Probably. It was done with a touch, right? Was it done with a touch?
Yes.
Okay.
And how did you acquire this? I vaguely overheard that it was some kind of debt, but I was not very focused at the moment. I was too focused on the pillar.
I made a deal with the cartman.
Okay. The cartman with no face.
Yeah.
Wasn't the
By
deal...
the way, he actually has no face.
Okay. So
It's not just a hat.
So if you look under the hat, did you? What?
Yeah.
No magical effects or anything?
It was like stars.
Stars.
It's like the night sky.
So you looked inside his face, and it was just a black void with stars.
Yeah. I mean, I think there were stars. I don't know.
I'd like to see him, but it's a little unnerving if he can...
I would suggest against it.
And the original deal, if I understand correctly, was Alzera's nightmare for something that benefits us. Well, player to player, what was the deal again?
What did Clark tell them?
It was a trade
A good night's sleep
a good night's sleep for a nightmare.
Yeah. So the good night's sleep was in the bottle.
Yeah.
But it wanted the nightmare
Yeah.
as payment.
Yeah.
So you still have a bottle. Could you not just return it?
I tried. Non-refundable.
So what did you give him in return? Did he just scar your face, or did you have to give something?
I assume that's what he took. Was a nightmare from me.
You do remember a little bit.
I'm not going to tell him that though.
Just so that you.
Oh, I know.
You don't remember the details, and in some ways it's really foggy to you, but the emotion from the scenes are gone.
What nightmare did you give him?
How many nightmares does a killer have?
Well, I'm assuming they'd go from nightmares to daily work tasks, so would they still be considered nightmares? But that's another discussion for another time.
Probably.
Yeah.
Nothing good, I would imagine.
No. But if any more visions happen, let me know and I'll gladly provide the parchment and pen again.
Okay. I hope they don't.
Oh, me neither, for your sake, but if there's any information that we could possibly glean due to this magic eye you now have, it might provide information that will help us escape.
If it becomes a hindrance, you can have it.
Is it a hindrance?
Not right now.
Good. Anyway, thank you for this.
Clark plays with his sax while saying that.
Okay.
Thank you for the parchment. Do you mind if I keep it?
It's yours.
Okay, I'll put it in my stuff.
I hope it gets us out of here.
Likewise. And
Speaking of that,
yes,
what are our plans?
we need to transport the pillar first of all.
We need to get out of here.
We need a buyer.
Yes.
And hopefully that buyer will have a ticket out of here.
Lord of Shadows, the White Priests, or the Broodmother, was it?
Well,
The Dragon Mother?
that one's probably
Yeah.
not on the list.
No.
After,
You have
Yeah.
stolen from her. She's not going to treat it kindly.
well, it wasn't hers yet, technically.
I believe that in her
In her mind.
point of view, it was hers.
Might makes right, I suppose.
I would imagine if you dig something out of the ground and they're there to see it being unearthed, that they probably knew about it ahead of time.
Yeah.
You do remember that when the dragon had been taken down, an accusation started to fly as to how the dragon could even know. One dwarf came forward.
It was a halfling.
It was a halfling.
That,
Okay, I wrote it again as a dwarf in my notes.
A little person.
It was originally a halfling, and I thought I said dwarf. But yes, one person
It seems
came
to be
forward.
an issue with you, your dwarves and your halflings.
To
look
be
the
fair,
same.
though, in this place, a lot of people are a lot of different things.
It's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
good point.
Yeah, I won't go through the thought process that led me down my dark path here. But anyway, came forward and declared her allegiance to the Brood Mother, and then slit her own wrist, or slit her own throat, I should say. Making it clear that, well, a couple of things. One, the Brood Mother has people working for her, most likely. And one thing you all have come to realize perhaps a little bit more was that death is strange here. Others have talked about it. Jazir, pardon me, spoke about it a couple of times, about how people fall down the ladder. And Azga was complaining that if you were going to do something to save Jazir, it had to be quick, because the scars settled in quickly.
And we did not manage to do anything.
Not for Yazir. And presumably Azka also perished, trying to give you some cover.
I imagine that scar cannot simply be healed.
I would imagine not. I wouldn't want it any other way, to be honest. I earned it.
As you wish. These priests, or clerics, whatever it used, who are they?
I'm not sure, but this player fetches notes from last time.
You only heard of
Somewhere.
the White Priests in passing, for the most
Okay.
part.
I could have swear I wrote stuff about them.
They were in a different location than where we are too. I believe.
Yeah, and that they mainly want them for scientific purposes.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where Zacchaeus is
Science.
leaning.
Research.
OMG, where is it?
There wasn't much expressed about the White Priests.
Did
And
we-
There wasn't really an explanation of what they wanted or if they wanted the pillars. They were
we-
just mentioned.
Did we ascertain who who hired the dwarven diggers? Like
There's
who their
a
boss was?
standing reward for anything that's found like that.
Right.
Yeah.
The impression you got was that they just mine.
Okay.
There's nobody that owns the mine. There's nobody that does it. They just do that because almost out of instinct.
Yeah.
And there are things that are found in the stone from time to time. This was something extraordinary that they did not expect, but would be a reward far beyond what most of them would ever expect.
And 2 players pounced on it when it was barely out of the ground.
Well, yes, and well, really one in particular, the dragon was
Well,
there
the-
to
the-
take it.
The gibbering mouth thing.
Azka was there with them.
Yeah.
He was actually working with them. And they had mentioned the
There was a connection between Azka and the dwarves, though, wasn't there?
yes
Yeah, they
Yeah.
talked to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Azka worked for the dwarves.
yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the impression was that just as Mara was essentially a spy for the Broodmother, Azka was their way of communicating the outside world,
Right.
and specifically Azir was the other end, at least of one of that parts of that communication. But when they realized what you had done, the power that you had wielded, they realized they could not stand up against it, just as they could not stand up against the Black Dragon, and resolutely turned back and started mining once again,
Yeah.
as if that's the only thing they knew to do.
Right, the only thing I can figure out is that the White Priests elicited fear in whoever's thoughts I was reading.
Right, in
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the miners.
Yeah.
Fear and distrust, with probably more on the latter.
I got the impression that the Lord of Shadow is the big chieftain
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah.
So
Maybe if we give him the pillar, he'll give us a ticket out of here.
that would be my hope.
Yes.
We'll probably have to negotiate that.
Mm-hmm. If supposedly nobody's ever escaped, or maybe if they are given passage freely, it doesn't count as escaping, does it?
Mhm.
Could work.
As I understand it, we're not supposed to be here, so we might not be suspect of the same rules that everyone else here has
Mm.
placed upon them.
That would be my hope as well.
I guess we need to find out where they are. The
Yeah.
Lord or the...
Yeah, well, that's
Priest.
step one, I guess.
I would like to know more about the White Priests. If anybody happens to come across some information.
I have absolutely nothing.
Thank you.
That's something.
As for how to carry this, do we just...
I don't know if you can see this, but I'll put a picture of it.
I see lines.
It's
It wouldn't make
Convoluted.
much more sense necessarily if you can see it. I think that there's probably some
there's post-it notes that go with it.
there's accessories.
Then we need to find out where to get information. There must be some people in here whose trade is information.
We've burned one of those bridges already.
Oh,
Two-headed imp.
Mm.
right.
You
Oh,
do
we don't
remember
even know if
Azka
he's
saying
here.
that he will probably reappear in the gloom,
A different place.
the hard gloom.
Yeah,
Is this nearby?
we don't know.
Also, we didn't really settle that deal really well either.
Mm.
Also, our priority is us getting out, not hunting down other people.
Well,
So do we just ask around, where do we find the Lord of Shadows? I'm assuming it wouldn't go very well. It would attract too much attention.
I think perhaps some of us should stay here and keep an eye on the pillar, and others of us who are more used to speaking to people should go ask questions, perhaps.
I'll continue my convoluted mess of a thing.
I guess we can ask about both of them and find out who's closest or...
I know a local.
Best.
I know something more than I know.
I would prefer talking with the priests first.
Likewise.
Sounds like a good travel then.
What if the
They're not
priests-
local to here, are they?
I don't know.
Well,
That's what
everyone-
we need to find out.
Everyone was trying to establish churches here and there, and
I haven't
Followers-
spread here yet.
I'm giving up examples. It's like, do I hear Emroon's voice in the back of my head? No. And the followers of Ignis also had multiple locations. What if the White Priests are some kind of religious organization and have establishments in multiple cities? It could be worth... It may attract less attention to ask about the White Priests than to ask about, hey, how do we contact the Lord of Shadows?
Because that's how you get arrested.
Hmm?
That's how you get arrested and brought to them.
I didn't hear the first part.
That is how you get
Okay.
arrested.
Yeah, no, but I thought you said something before that.
Well, general inquiry may be best to begin with, and then just go as...
I can get
whatever
probably
we find
something
out.
the average person would know. It might be a little more than what we have.
I still have a number of those coins if we need to pay for information.
I think this one's okay.
And we have a potion of good night's sleep, apparently.
He and I have an understanding.
Well, then that's probably what we should do. I think we're as prepared to head out as possible as it is. One thing is, we can't hide that.
Maybe
We can't bring it with us.
Perhaps if we could get a cart, we could hide it in the cart, cover it up with something, but...
There's a blanket.
The blanket is not going to cover.
How big is the blanket?
It's about 5 feet long and about 3 feet wide.
There were 2 blankets, right?
There's only the one.
Are there curtains?
No.
There's
Remember, the
barely
windows were
windows.
just these carvings in the rock. Slits really let airflow more than light.
Well, I can cover it with an illusion if necessary for periods of time, but...
I can stay here with it. You don't want me talking to people.
And I think it is best we keep it here for now, but at some point we're going to have to leave. And at that point we will have to
I
hide
think
it.
doing what we did last time worked okay-ish.
I don't know if we're going to get that lucky. Moving it around.
It's going to be difficult to cover it up with an illusion.
I can do it
But for how long?
in a few hours.
Are you thinking, like, player to player, are you thinking minor illusion, or?
I've got all the illusions.
Okay. Because I was thinking minor, that's not going to work.
No, I have major and super and giga ultra.
And also invisibility.
Nice. And how would you disguise this? Just make it look like furniture, a part of the wall?
Yeah, I could just make it look like a wagon that's full rather than a wagon that's empty.
Okay, but I mean, I'm assuming for now we'll be leaving it inside, correct?
I don't think the three of you should leave. I think it should just be the two of us.
But I speak 6 different languages.
Speaking
8
and talking.
languages.
Speaking and talking are 2 different things.
I do find that
I
very
actually very loudly laugh at that. I acknowledge my awkwardness.
You lack subtlety.
Well, yes, we need direct answers.
Yes, exactly.
What better way to get
There are your answers. Figure it out.
What are you pointing at?
The big
Statue.
Okay.
What would he be pointing
The
at
thing
in
that
this room?
the thing that's laying down on the ground
You
because
could
we
have been
can't
pointing at
stand
the
it
door,
up in here.
too. Okay.
You are best at this.
Yes, I just don't know what else I can uncover from it. I will keep trying.
What's the gist? What's the gist? What is it? What does it do?
It's a
It's
bone.
an artifact of great power. I mean, it powered that golem that took the demon down.
So it's like a river that moves a wheel?
It's an energy source. I'm not sure the extent of what it can do. Do I know, like, what kind of magic you'd need to, like, create that golem and tap into that pillar?
Not without experimentation.
Okay. But it's way beyond my capabilities, right?
It's way beyond just sort of doing it. It takes something to house it, something to put around it, probably.
Okay.
And there was some other energy you detected from the one that was in the golem.
Okay. It seems to be made of, carved very carefully out of bone. The symbols might have some religious significance, if you recall. You were in the Serene Sanctum, right?
Yes.
Listen,
Do you remember how it's similar to the carvings of the Scholars of the Water?
No.
Anyway, it is.
Okay. But what did they use theirs for then? I guess is my point. What is it used for? What does it do? They don't just make these things to do nothing, right?
No. Usually it's just some pretty mural, but these things seem to have magic. And the bones, if I were to make an estimation, belong to a creature that would be possibly over 100 feet tall. What creatures do I know of that are this size?
None.
Damn it.
There are legends of things like titans, which would be about that scale. Some dragons get almost that long, but they're not
Giants?
really tall. Giants don't normally get that tall.
What about Titans? Right.
Titans would be one of the few.
When we were entering Bone Twitch's sanctum, there was a gigantic figure at the mouth of the cave.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
in
a
fact,
Titan?
the mouth of the cave was a giant skull.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a giant or a Titan.
Yeah, well, a gigantic rather than an actual giant.
Right.
It would have been larger than any giant you had heard of.
Okay. Could it be a bone from that kind of creature?
Scale would be about right.
Hey.
If it was found in this mine, then these people did not make it. They simply digged them up and used them. From my personal experience, my people do this all the time. We find something and make use of it.
My people would call this a battering ram.
That is a possible use.
And if there's a way to do that and get us home, then let's do that. But otherwise, we're going to have to sell it.
If energy
Yeah.
could be channeled from it. Yes, I will investigate this further while you are out and about making productive conversations.
Having looked at it, one of the things that strikes you about the pillar, the design, and reflecting upon the Scholars of the Water is this kind of design that's carved into it. Very, very time consuming, very, very difficult, and it's done with a very steady hand, which means it's basically ultimate veneration and an acknowledgement of power. The fact that the symbol is very similar to, or the symbology and the structure is very similar to Paluxia power,
Yeah.
or Paluxia itself, does hold some resonance there. It may be that they found this thing and said its power resembles hers.
And there's multiple pillars. So.
There have been others, I believe it was 6 in the last...
Half a dozen mentioned.
Since
but
that
none
person
seen.
had died once.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I'll explain what you've just relayed to me to Clark and pals.
Clark and pals.
Keep the words short, please.
Yes. I'll redo a few phrases.
They did it out of love.
Yeah.
Love of power. The power of love.
That's a curious thing.
Thank you.
I'm just writing down that it could. And you said the creature outside, or the remains outside of Bone Twitch's lair was.
Would
that
be
was a
worth the
Titan?
right scale, yeah.
Was it a Titan though, or I just want to make sure I'm using.
You don't know what it
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
It actually resembled stone,
Okay.
but it would have been very well carved stone.
Well,
So
I guess
far, we have 2 links to
The other thing
bag.
that you do remember is the ember skull is about the right size as well.
Okay. Oh, the Ember Skull is like the things in the sky.
That's the
That's
sun.
the thing you can see from a long ways away that has the 2 burning eyes, ember-like eyes.
Okay.
It's hard to estimate, but if it was going to be anything of that size, that's about the right size.
I have a friend in the market. Let's go talk to him. You can decide where to go from there.
And remember, no deals until I study this further. I mean, no deals to sell the pillar.
No
yet.
deals.
No, it's our ticket out of here.
Hmm?
If
Yes,
If
what
it
if-
gets us away out, I'm taking it. But otherwise, no. It's
I
too
can study it
valuable.
first. If I can figure out. I mean, the golem had
Priority
to.
is getting out.
Yes, but the golem was tapping into it somehow. If I could figure out how to tap into it myself, and possibly somehow.
If
find
it's
a way
like
out of
a
here.
stream that drives a wheel, I imagine it's the same thing that makes the stone move.
In any case, I'll study it further.
And I'm a dum-dum.
Whatever findings I acquire, I will relay.
Tell the smart people. It's good. I like it.
I will relay in layman's information, in layman's terms.
Clark will throw his cloak on and bring the hood down and
Okay.
start towards the door.
All right.
I'll turn into a gnome.
Be safe.
Gnome.
Thank you. I'll try my best.
Are you the right size for a gnome, or are you guys?
I'm a little short for a
You're a
gnome.
little short for a gnome.
But with the extra foot that I can go up, I can get
Okay.
any size gnome.
So
height.
gnome is the right size for you.
Yep, gnome and halfling is fine.
I'll say good luck, and I hear the door slam.
I you're out fairly quick.
After the door's on here, nerds.
So, you're looking
We're
for
gonna go find Murquhart.
Murquhart? Okay. Make an investigation roll.
Sure. 8.
8?
Yeah.
Okay. You start by the market first, because that's where you'd run into him before. Go wandering around. The makeup of the market has changed even since you were here just yesterday. It feels as though people come in and out all the time.
Right.
Notably, you do not see the Cartman's stand here.
Okay.
It is not here today. But after looking around for about an hour, there's no sign of him in particular.
Okay.
You ask the potion seller where you met him the first day,
Okay.
and he tells you that he's probably over getting himself. How would he put it? He's probably over losing a few lives. Go to 2-3. I'm sure you'll find him there.
Okay.
It's a small bar by the name of what do they call it? Graven Image. And he mentions 2-3, which is an odd description.
Does that sound like grid coordinates?
Does kind of.
So
And
probably
then
have the layout of the town.
and
Probably.
you reflect back on the way the city is laid out. In fact, from the mine exit when you came out, you had a better sense of it, kind of hearing the number and realizing that while it seems like they're all in even rows, it's actually spokes on a wheel out in front of the entrance to the Hollow Hills.
Right.
So 2-3 is either
Two
very
out,
close in one
and then
corner,
three
or
over, kind of
depending
thing.
on which part is their starting point.
Okay. How good are you with plotting courses?
Pretty good.
We're looking for an address related to 2-3, probably starting from the caves we were in last. And I'll describe the hub-like nature of the place.
Well, I'll take a whack at it.
Okay.
This is not my favorite terrain, but I do have Outlander background, which gives me an excellent memory for maps and geography.
Okay. You haven't seen a map of the area, but you have seen a basic layout of the geography. It does pinpoint, basically there's 4 possibilities if it's low numbers, one of the 4 corners. So which ones do you want to try first?
The first one.
Okay, well the 4 corners would be either farthest out from the Hollow Hill in either extreme, or closest into the Hollow Hill.
I'll just go with the closest one to us.
Okay. That happens to be closer to the outer edge. And in fact turns out to be a really good guess, as you do find when you come around the corner, come around the building and actually spot it, first of all you can hear one of the sounds which is rather unusual. The sounds of very off-key, very loud, and very poorly worded singing in sort of a broken dwarvish, with occasional, strangely enough, occasional orc words thrown in. Mostly almost emphasizing swearing, if you will.
Okay.
As if orc was the
curse language.
The curse language at that particular point.
Gotcha.
So I look like right now.
All right.
You've seen him look like that before.
Okay.
He's working on facial hair.
Certainly.
Do you ask that he refer to you by a different name?
I say, call me Brina.
Okay.
Okay. And as
Varg.
you come around the edge, you see that just like all the other flat, rectangular, squarish buildings, there is one in that spot, but it clearly has been modified over time. Stone probably from one of the buildings you see nearby, which is nearly destroyed, perhaps even stone coming from the Hollow Hills itself, has been brought in to build what looks like a snarling demon head with kind of turned on its side. And you see that where the ear would be is actually where the door is. And it's been kind of carved into an ear shape. And you see a number of people kind of lined up outside, not lined up rather, but sitting up around the edges talking and strangely jovial for a place so grim most of the time. And without a doubt, this is the Craven image.
All right. Well, we'll have a look around, I guess.
Okay. Dwarves and halflings mostly on the outside, a few gnomes here and there. They seem to have mugs carved out of stone. What's interesting is the mugs seem to be all different. They seem to be, some of them seem to be faces, others seem to be landscapes. They're all carved and made fancy. A few of them even have a topper on them, suitable for not spilling your drink.
Right.
You can smell as you get closer this wafting, sour, bitter smell. Probably whatever it is they're drinking and enjoying so much. The singer seems to have wandered back inside, and it becomes just a hubbub of noise outside. There's probably about 36 people outside, kind of standing around the building. Every once in a while, someone goes in with an empty stein and comes back out with this sort of brackish brew, I should say, that they seem to be imbibing quite steadily. Do you go inside?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Opening up this weird ear-shaped door, which is actually light to the touch. You realize it's actually almost hollow. It's mostly facade of stone. Okay. You see within a similar structure to what your rooms had been. So there's a main large room, and what would be 2 small rooms in the back seems like they've taken out the middle wall and made it another room. In the back, you can see these urns standing up, almost the entire height of the back rooms, again out of this stone, cruder now, and you can actually make out that some people have carved in letters on the outside of it. In between that room and the front is a bar, and within you see a number of people standing around talking. The room is nearly full of people. You can see over most of them because they mostly are dwarves, gnomes, and halflings, although there are occasionally an elf and even an orc that's kind of laughing alongside everyone else. They seem to be deep in camaraderie. Okay. As you open the door, there is a glance towards the door to see who the new entrants are. They seem to look you over as a group, but not stop talking, not stop an instant, and then look back to what they're doing. There is almost a palpable sense of relief, though, that it seems to be ordinary people, if you will, walking in, as if they do occasionally expect something else.
Not the demon police.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. I'll describe Murkart as a rough-looking halfling. Hair, eyes, what have you.
It's a little harder from your perspective, as most things are taller than you in this room. But you both can kind of look through, kind of slink through the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Keep an eye close to the orc, because birds of a feather.
Okay. There is a sort of recognition of your orc stature, your half-orc stature, and sort of a nod from time to time, kind of an acknowledgement.
Specifically looking for the orc's friends, to see if there's a halfling amongst them.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you move your way through the crowd, you hear the familiar voice of Martok kind of ring out from. You can't see him yet because there's a couple of taller people in front of him, but he seems to be cajoling the orc in Orcish, and seems to be relating a recent tale of success. That he and his band had found a few stragglers who will be no more, at least not for a while. You can kind of look around the room, and you see there are some gnomes who are looking at you rather quizzically, not recognizing you. And
And I'd have a couple of scars again, like I did the last time.
Okay. What do you make your scars look like?
The same two I'd used last time.
Okay.
I mean, just ones I'd seen on other people.
Okay. They look at you as if new, but there's a few quizzical questions in your direction. Who might you be? Says one young, long hair, blonde gnome.
Are they speaking in common or in gnomish?
It's gnomish, actually.
There you go. And keep walking.
Ah, how rude. As they seem to turn back to their friends, and there's a
I
little
know,
laughter
Gnomish.
behind you. As you kind of crest over the crowd around, you do see now the voice, or see the person that goes with the voice, kind of bellying up to the bar now to get a refill, slapping down a rather large-looking stein with a grisly skull on the front. And it takes you just a moment to realize the skull is actually pale white. It's not made of stone. It was wrapped around the stone mug. And it has a couple of nasty-looking teeth on the front of the skull.
Okay.
They come by and they fill up the stein, and you again see that sort of brackish liquid.
Okay.
The smell in here is thick with this sort of an alcoholic haze, practically. But there's an edge of that which smells rotten, as though the alcohol has gone off somehow. Not quite skunked ale, but something close to it. And the noise is pretty tremendous.
Okay. Clark will introduce himself and Brina to Merkart and ask if he has a moment to speak privately.
He turns and kind of looks like he's squinting to recognize anything at this particular point. Oh, I remember you.
I make allusions of two of us there. Oh, yeah.
Yes, you want to speak to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
When's a good time?
It depends on what you want to say, I suppose. Good favor, great stories would be perfect right now. Would you care for one? And he kind of heaves up the brew he's holding.
Do you have a...
Which in this halfling's hand looks about half the size of him.
Do you have a bit of change for a drink?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Your next drink's on us.
I'd better make it a good one then. And he proceeds to take the mug with both hands and start to tip it back, as if he intends to empty the thing right now. There's a certain level of disbelief that most people would form, but somehow this liquid seems to flow down this tiny body and into it, and lets out a tremendously loud belch when he's done. You can see his eyes now kind of glazing over. That was good. Who are you again?
Clark.
Right. What clan did you say you were with?
I didn't.
Pity. I need to get rid of some of this. Follow me. You notice the orc actually follows along with him and you follow them. Or are you staying inside? Are you following as well?
I'll follow with them.
Okay. The orc kind of moves very confidently through, and you can see strapped on the back of the orc is a wicked-looking blade. It is actually one you have heard of but never actually seen directly. It would be considered a noble's, if you will, a noble orc blade, not the front-level people that you fought before. It is long and has a very big curved hook on the end of it. Okay. Legend says that its intent is to remove limbs, preferably the head, on a successful strike. But the people give both Martok and yourself a pretty...
Merkart.
Merkart. I don't know why I keep getting that name wrong, too.
It's okay. It's loud in there.
I will write this name down again. Give you a pretty wide berth. And a few people actually cheer Merkart. And you can see there's sort of a group of halflings and dwarves in particular who seem to watch with some notice. You get the impression that they are the people he knows the best. Okay. From the story he just gave, they may even be the band he's working with.
Okay.
And he leads you out through the door. While the air in this whole place that you've experienced has never been exactly what you would call a fresh breath of fresh air or fresh breeze, stepping out of the Craven image, out just onto the landing before getting out to the outside, feels as though you were born into a meadow of flowers in comparison. And you can almost feel the weight of the fetid breath kind of pushing you out the door, and it's a lot cooler outside suddenly as well.
All right.
And he kind of stumbles down the steps, takes the mug, and while he is very tipsy, kind of pushes it back, and you see him kind of flip it over and land on a hook that's on his shoulder that conveniently holds it there apparently. As he kind of stumbles around and the crowd makes way. He stumbles around to the back of the building and proceeds to urinate.
I'll give him some space.
Nearly as much as he just drank, you might think. It's a fleeting emotion, but it feels so good. And the other orc is just sort of standing there watching unflinchingly. It takes him a
Comically long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the movie.
A League of Their Own.
Austin Powers is what I was going for. It takes an Austin Powers amount of time to relieve himself, and the dark stain kind of crawling up the wall seems to threaten to ruin the aesthetic of this strange building. Nobody seems to pay much mind, although there are a few people who kind of just turn up a different alley rather than coming down this one.
Right.
Afterwards, he seems to be somewhat relieved. Turns to you. So, what can I do for you?
We would like to leave this place, and we need information on the rulers of this realm.
You mean the city?
The
Easy, go by the gates.
The realm.
Oh, the realm. That's harder.
There's a shadow baron or something here.
Lord of Shadow.
Yeah, him.
Rules over everything here.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
We want to talk to people of his stature.
Well, there's a few of those. The Lord of Shadow himself, maybe.
That's one.
Well, there's rumors of a black dragon that I don't want to face.
Two.
I remember some... I don't know who rules the Hard Gloom, but it's definitely not anybody I want to face.
Three.
Bigger powers? I don't know most of them. I try not to.
I'm looking for the ones that are going to get us home, Merkart.
What kind of a deal do you think you can strike? What have you got?
Something.
He looks kind of curiously at you. What have you got? Something I could get back to the war with.
Maybe.
Oh.
But we need to know who to sell it to.
Sell it to?
So that we can leave.
No, I don't know anything you could... Things aren't sold so very often. Mostly bargaining. Sometimes you can bargain for shadow coin.
Well, we want passage out of this place.
If I knew how to get passage out of this place, I'd kill every damn bastard in my way.
Well,
I haven't been doing much of that anyway.
That's plan B. We're going to try
a
to...
few shadow coin from time to time.
We're going to try to buy our way out.
There are rumors there are gates out. All I ever knew was a gate inward. Thing was a blasted cave. Didn't see it coming.
Well,
Should have seen it coming. My entire crew was against me at that time.
if we can get your help, it would be useful. And if I can get your help and get out of here, I can keep my promise to you.
Something that powerful. What is it?
Let's just say it's in our possession at the moment, and we'll leave it at that.
Where is it?
I can't say.
Good. Wouldn't trust anybody to give me that information. Well, people don't generally get an audience with the Lord of Shadow.
Is he our best bet?
He's the most powerful of all. But I don't know that anyone has ever left by his hand. I don't know anybody's ever left either.
What about the white priests?
I don't know a lot about them. They keep to themselves. There's not so many now as there used to be. For a while there was a bounty on them. I cashed in a few of them myself. They're mostly passive. They seem to know things, but they wouldn't tell me anything. Not even when it died. I suppose he came back now. I should find him if he'd be more convinced.
Is it possible they know the way out?
If people thought they knew the way out, they wouldn't last long, but they'll know more than me, I suppose. One of their temples is just at 9-6. I think it's 9-6. 9-8. Somewhere around there.
Where is the Lord of Shadows? Is he in this city?
No.
Elsewhere?
Not at present, anyway. The city isn't shaking and fire isn't sprouting out from every damned asshole. If you don't want to have the Lord of Shadow visit your city, you can avoid it. Technically, Withergate and the Hollow Hills are under his protection, from what I understand. There was something happened the other day. One of his bigger guards stomped into town. But no, as far as I know, the Lord of Shadow stays at Ember Skull.
What's valuable?
From what I remember, he hasn't left Ember Skull for a long time either. But I don't remember exactly how long I've been here. 2 lifetimes at least.
If you think of anything else, please keep it in mind. I hope to see you again sometime in the future.
Will you just be wandering into the Craven Image, or will I find you somewhere else?
Where will I find you? I looked for you in the market. You weren't there.
I'm all about.
I know.
I'll be soon hitting the land to see if I can strike it rich.
Whereabouts?
Somewhere between here and Mike has to check his notes for his own damn names. Somewhere between here and Greybrook. There are different caravans that travel back and forth, often making easy pickings. And if you don't win, then, well, a few scars hasn't hurt me too much.
Is there a way that we can find you?
We may need to move quickly if you wish to return.
Well, quickly.
We'll
Not
need
much that moves quickly around
We'll
here.
need a way to find you quickly if need be.
Well, there may be a way. How quickly is quickly?
I don't know.
I'll leave word with.
I would maybe keep this conversation to as few people as possible. For all of our sakes.
If word got out that you had something worth getting you out of here, there's not a soul alive or a soul dead in this place who wouldn't want that. Not a single one.
Well, don't make my arrangement with you sour over this. If we get out, you get out.
I trust Gorbuk here. He points to the orc who has been stolid and unmoving through this entire conversation, but clearly heard everything.
Gorbuk?
Gorbuk. He can always find me. Living or dead. He's done it before.
Okay.
He even found me in this form, if you can believe. Look at this. It's ridiculous.
Clark will offer a hand to Gorbuk.
I agree.
Who is your friend?
He's a friend.
You trust him?
I am Brina.
Sure you are. You trust him.
He's with me.
So be it. Will you join me for another round? You paid for it, after all.
I think you should enjoy it while you can.
It's a fleeting glimpse of happiness again.
Hopefully I have more for you in the future. Drink to that.
Yeah.
We have to be going.
Is there a way that I can talk to you? Somewhere I can find you?
I'll be in the market occasionally. See me around midday. If I can be there, I'll be there.
Midday.
You have any idea when midday is? Because I don't. You'll learn to leave time behind you here.
I may wander the market occasionally. Hopefully you can find me.
Yeah. Gorbuk can find you.
Okay. He'll offer a hand to Gorbuk.
Gorbuk reaches out and extends the hand as well. There is a sense, even without any kind of insight, there is a sense of superiority that Gorbuk has over you, even though, just like everybody else here, he wears his scars. He has a silver scar, which is running up one arm, which seems extensive, actually. And you can see one hand, not the one he extends to you, but his left hand, is actually withered down almost to nothing. It looks almost claw-like and practically useless. But he does extend the arm to you with a firm grip and pulls you in or tries to.
Clark will relent.
To stare at you in the eyes. And this is something you have seen before. There's a sense of judging a person's character by the window to their soul. And there's a moment when, still not having said a single word, he just simply nods and lets go of your forearm.
Okay.
There's a sense almost of not only weighing your soul, but getting to know you.
Right.
In a weird sense.
Clark will say, not much else other than, I'm Clark.
Gorbuck is all he responds with. Speaking around teeth, you can see one
Brino.
broken, the other one quite prominent and sharpened.
Why is nobody paying attention to the 2-foot?
Brino.
He just kind of looks down at Brina and nods. Doesn't say anything.
Shake hands like.
Right. Back to drinking.
Back to walking. Thank you.
Don't thank me. Prove that you're not a fool.
That'll be hard to do in these days.
You got one chance.
Enjoy your drink.
I will.
I wouldn't have known how much to leave them, so I left them like a fifth of a coin.
That seemed to have been expected, about that much. You saw that much being dropped down by the others as well.
And we'll head back to the hut.
Okay. Now that you've kind of heard the place, you can kind of almost echolocate the place from the raucous noise that comes up. You actually hear them cheer.
Burkhart's return?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, I'm spailing on names today.
I'm here to help.
As he makes his round back into the building. And you are going where?
Back to our hut.
Making sure you're not followed, right?
Well, as best as we can.
Yeah. Well, I'll turn us both invisible at some convenient point.
Okay.
Sure.
Both of you make perception checks.
It's the sound of invisibility. It's very loud.
The sound of winter happening.
I rolled 2 dice. Would you like the high one or the low one?
Just pick one up and roll it again.
Okay, sorry. For some reason, I thought it was a disadvantage or something.
Nope.
Insight, you say?
No,
Perception.
Perception is 17.
Okay.
23.
23. Both of you kind of naturally fall into a pattern of moving between buildings and not walking in a straight line. And both of you notice that, yes, indeed, 2 dwarves from the bar that you had seen did follow you. When you turn invisible, though, and round in the corner, they seem to have lost you. And you see them both kind of walking up to where you were and looking confused. You make your way back to...
I don't know if I can see you.
We can't see each other.
Yeah, you can't see each other.
So I'll head back home.
Okay. You can still speak. You can still
Yeah.
be...
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're not going to speak amongst
No,
people.
I would have made just like next corner. I'll turn us invisible.
Yeah. In fact, both of you could do hand signals, I believe.
We can't see anything else, so we can
We're invisible.
we can hold hands and
That's true.
Yeah.
Or you could do
Weird.
signs in the dark. But before you turn invisible, you could have
Yeah.
indicated that without speaking.
Yeah.
Hold hands, skipping
Falling into the
around.
regular pattern.
Just a
As you
normal
make
day
your
in the shadows.
as you make your way back to your location, to the pilfered pillbox of Lord Telmar.
Yeah, there we go.
So you want to speak to the 2. What have the 2 been up to inside in the meantime?
Trying to find out if the magical energy in the pillar can be harnessed for something else. Like, just a long time ago, Gerbo was trying to think of like a magical source for his printer, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, could I use the energy in this pillar to cast like better spells that I couldn't cast otherwise?
Okay. Make an Arcana check. You're going to spend some time looking at it. It's going to be a couple of hours before they get back, so...
32.
You know who knows all about using magical energy from items to make stuff? Amron.
Yeah.
You know who knows Coluxia the best, like, anywhere?
I read her book.
That's why it's rather fun for me to not have
Yep.
everyone here. So this magical energy could definitely be harnessed. The difficulty would be in trying to harness at a level where it wouldn't kill you trying to do it. The other thing is the amount of power is probably finite. It probably has a limit, but you have no idea what limit it is. Even its just very existence, as a byproduct of the power inside it, it glows slightly. How such a power came to exist, you do not know. What that power could be used for, your mind kind of boggles. You're looking at something that has more power than the starseed, even. And you know how much power that had. Even a small amount of it, a very small chunk you brought back to be in the Ambelic will power it for a century, depending on how it's used, of course.
Okay, so I probably shouldn't use this myself, considering like what happened with the starseed. And
he's learning.
I'm not saying that out loud though. It's still kind of tempting.
It's probably on your note somewhere. Like, number one, maybe I shouldn't be holding on to this thing.
If it can be dampened a little bit, I can maybe like. I know, but right. Finite amount of power. Don't know how much. Okay. And B, I need to take this back to the library somehow.
I like how it's 1 and B.
Yep, that's about right.
2. Okay, I guess that was 1A, then 1B.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I just didn't specify.
So is there
1A,
2?
Right? Not yet. There was.
Right.
I just forgot what it was.
As you spend your time kind of studying the thing and then working out some calculations and drawing some mystical symbols in your book to try to calculate, the energy input of this particular mystical event, what is Elzara doing?
Elzara's pondering life.
Okay.
Staring at this thing, trying to figure out how the hags are the possibility of something from Bone Twitch's place, something of that size, and that's the only thing that we can think of being here. What her grandmother has to do with any of this, because like Nana's out of nowhere. What just the entire wild hunt clusterfuck over there has to do with anything. Mm-hmm. All of that. She's pondering, trying to figure shit out.
As you spin this over in your mind more and more, as much as you feel the urgency to leave, as much as this place bothers you by its very lack of nature, by its disturbing presence, one thing keeps nagging at you. There are answers here. You're not going to find them anywhere else. And then Clark comes through the door.
Checking for traps.
You find one. It's the trap you left from yesterday.
We'll walk around that one.
You see them more or less in the same positions they were before. The nerds have been busy, but it's hard to tell exactly what progress actually is.
Clark will find a nice corner and sit down.
We need to stay to find answers.
What kind of answers? What have you been up to? And she'll show me the thing.
Crazy diagram.
And I'm like...
There are notes on the post-it on the other side.
Because I was also like...
Jeez. Well,
I mean, if Zach has figured out that... Anyway, I'll...
that is my diagram.
No, I was just like, wow, your handwriting is super good.
Just kind of imagine that is actually how Zachus describes it, as he's like, well, I figured out, and start reading through the diagram. They don't seem to have noticed that you've come back at this point.
It's fine.
We're getting along. The place hasn't exploded,
Nothing's
and we've
on
been
fire,
left
yeah.
alone twice now.
And the big stick is still here, so
That's true.
That's good.
Like,
Can I take photos of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quickly pulls out a piece of thin paper and need this for later.
I do this
I
all
mean,
the time
and-
at the library.
And Elzara's version would have like actual string because she has a sewing kit. It
So
would,
you're not so much making a diagram as weaving a diagram.
yeah,
Okay.
basically trying to figure out where connections are and
Cool,
what
this is
connections
like all
are.
labeled and everything.
Yeah.
So Zach says like, yeah, definitely writing it down. And one thing I thought of too is time doesn't pass here. There seems to be a lot of links to these hags. What if we're in a different but bigger hag's layer or dimension?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. but you can read.
Yes.
Well, the folks at home can't quite read as much, so you can't have the dialogue.
Yeah.
No, but like last time there was.
In the other alternate dimension that we've been in, you couldn't read.
Yeah.
It could have been
Books
just.
were empty.
Oh,
It
that's
could've-
what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, it could have been a feature of that particular dimension, though.
Mm-hmm. We are in a different dimension.
And it doesn't resemble any dimension I've read about previously, does it?
No, nothing like this. But then again, there are a few books you haven't read.
Yeah.
And there have been new books since you actually had a chance to read last.
I'm so behind on my work.
The Lord of Shadows is not here. However, there is a church of the White Priests here, a temple.
Excellent.
I
Is
would
it
want
close?
to talk to them.
Likewise.
Somewhere in the city. We have not seen it.
You haven't.
The big stick is white.
You mean the pillar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yep.
Nothing else here is white.
Not really,
Yeah, everything's dark tones, right?
for the most part.
Even the
There's a little bit of color in people's clothing and things like that.
even Gorbrook's silver scar was probably not
A muted
whitish.
silver. Yeah.
It was silver.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just a bit dummy here, but that might be a connection.
Mm.
Doesn't belong here.
No.
Should be why they're interested in it.
Yeah.
They are the people who know things.
Do we want to go
According to
there
your
first, or do we want to bring it first, or?
I don't think we'd want to bring it, but then again, we can't just leave it here unless. How strong are your illusions?
My illusions are okay, but they are only illusions. If you walk through one, you walk through it.
Maybe hide the thing in a corner, conceal it, and go speak to the priest.
I mean, I'm not certain my illusion would conceal it. I mean, this thing glows from its own massive power. It might work.
Give me a second.
I wish I could use Tiny Servant on it and just have it follow us around and beat things up.
But it's not tiny.
No.
I have an unseen servant.
It would look really weird with the teeny tiny little legs at the
That would be
bottom.
hilarious.
How heavy is the pillar?
The pillar is a few hundred pounds.
How
I'm
many
not exactly
hundreds?
sure. Not exactly sure how.
It took an earth elemental.
Hundreds
It-
of pounds.
Yeah.
It slowed down an earth elemental.
But I mean, is it under 500?
It could be as high as 600 given the strength of an earth elemental.
You could do a few
Sure.
experiments potentially to figure out how heavy it is, but without reference, there's no way. It did feel like it was heavier than it looked,
Okay.
but exactly the amount, that's something you'd have to figure out.
Okay,
An
because
earth
I'm wondering if,
elemental has this 25 strength, I think it is.
20.
20.
The biggest thing
It's
with that,
oh, it's a 5 modifier.
the biggest
Yeah.
thing with that is awkward for you to carry,
Yeah.
because you were partially in the floor at the time to actually carry the thing, and it
But
was
no, even
too long to maneuver around some of those current turns on your own.
even when I was
In the
just
streets.
carrying it,
Mm.
I was slowed.
Yeah.
but I'm
So-
thinking like if it's under 500, even slightly, if you just pop that under or over a tensor's floating disk, then it just follows me around like a dog.
I mean, you could try that.
That
That would be one way to figure out if it's heavier than that.
the thing is, we're still carrying it out in the open at that point.
That's when you disguise
I
it.
think if we
In a-
decide to
like a
move
rock.
it, we should not stop moving it.
Yeah. I think we should talk to them first,
Okay.
figure out who we're giving or trading this to, or what we're doing with it, and then take it.
If they're powerful enough, if we just show up with the pillar there, they might just kill us and take it.
Well,
It
that's
seems
what,
to be-
that's what I'm
yeah.
worried about.
Same.
I sit down in front of the pillar.
With this this somewhat lull in the conversation, why don't we take our break? And you guys can have a bit of time to think it over, and then we'll return to the scene with you guys deciding what to do. So for those of you at home, stay tuned. We'll be back in an indeterminate amount of time. But then again, isn't time just an illusion anyway?
Yep.
Time is fake.
I'll tell that to my employers tomorrow. Cameras. Okay.
And we're back.
Oh.
There's a weird delay between pressing the button, so we were all kind of like, is it back? Are we back? We're back. How you doing? We're doing okay. If we recap just briefly what was happening when we left, the bit more of information had been gleaned from Clark's new friend, Merkart, who was interested in the notion that they might have something which could help them get out of here, something which he seemed both intrigued by and skeptical of. Returning with that information and with the two, what do we want to call them, eggheads, nerds, smarty pants, working over ideas.
The two non-social people.
That's true. Although remarkably being social with each other for the moment. They both
We're
puzzle
being
over the
civil.
They were sitting in opposite corners of the room studying their own things.
No, there was some interaction back and forth as they looked over the various diagrams and ideas they had around what's going on. After the return of Ironbound and Clarg, with a little bit more information, such as where the white priests may have a temple, you had some idea to think over, some time rather to think over some ideas. So, what are you going to do now?
Well, I'm going to stay with the pillar if we're not moving it, because I don't like the idea of leaving it alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's too valuable.
It's also very heavy, but you're not exactly sure how heavy. Some experimentation might be needed to actually figure that out.
I mean, I know that my earth, like how much my earth elemental can lift, and it was heavy just to walk with, to move it from the dragon corpse to the, like, common room that
It's
we were
also
talking in.
awkward, however.
I mean, ish.
If I were to cast a floating disc, could somebody else put the pillar on it in this state we are in right now?
Possibly. I mean, depends on what our strengths are.
So, because an earth elemental is 10 foot tall,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the earth elemental is tall.
But you were also having difficulties in that area moving it around.
Yeah. I mean, just pick it up and walk forward. That's all I had done with it in that area.
But
And
keeping
it was
in
heavy.
mind, mechanically, when you
Yeah.
are grappling someone and moving them, you're moving at half speed because it's an awkward thing to do.
Yeah.
And carrying this thing is an awkward thing to do. So,
Whatever.
however, you can certainly try with people working together. You may be able to lift up one end of the pillar, and then you can cast your spell. Is that what you'd like to do?
Sure, we
Yeah.
can try if we have time to kill.
Okay.
The other concern is Yezir will be back at some point because nobody ever dies. And what if Lord Talmor comes back? Which is why we should probably leave at least one person here.
Well, you definitely shouldn't leave it alone,
No.
period.
Yeah, I'm not. I think moving it right now is not our issue. Right now,
No.
it's figuring where we're going.
Yeah. I suppose if we make a deal with it,
Um,
then they can come pick it up.
I think we have
What?
to go to the temple first, because
Yes.
they're here. But
So, and the big thing is, right, is that we know that my earth elemental form can carry it. So, like, moving it is not an issue.
So who?
yeah, it may stand out, but yeah, we can move it. It's just a matter of if we can
Just
sneak it.
So you said that you had the location of the White Priest's establishment.
Also, the Lord of Shadow, roughly.
Ooh, where?
Well, the Lord
Is it close?
No,
Clargle Point. That away.
the big glowing eyes. That's where the Lord of Shadow is.
In the sky?
No.
Way off that way.
And you remember the
Not in
glowing
the city.
eyes were referred to as Ember Skull.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A dumb question. Are they like floating in the sky, or are they part of a really tall building?
It's hard to tell because everything is pretty much dark shadow around it.
But
Right.
the Lord of Shadows is not in the city. The only ones in the city are the priests. And we have an address, but
In case things go south in the priest's dwelling, is there a way to contact the Lord of Shadow, or perhaps one of his emissaries? No?
not any
We would
way I
have
know
to
of.
make the trip to do that.
That sounds like effort.
Uh,
Can I guesstimate like how far it is, based on?
Not from inside a pillbox in the middle of the city.
What if I look out the window?
Well, it's a sliver of a couple of inches at the top of the ceiling, and there's nothing that really points in that direction. If you look out, you see the pillboxes across the street on that side, and the pillboxes across the street on that side.
Is it something that, I mean, we had seen it before. Is it something we were constantly seeing as we were traveling along?
It was one of the few things that counted as a landmark in the dark.
Then, navigation-wise, seeing, it's over there. We've moved a bunch. It's over here. Can I estimate whether it's a few miles away, a dozen miles away,
Leagues.
past the horizon?
You could make a survival roll and probably figure that out. Possibly figure that out.
Maybe. Got a 12.
12. There's not enough landmarks in between here and there to judge distance very well.
Yeah.
It's quite a distance away. It's not just just next door.
Yeah.
For certain.
Good. I'd be trying to get well, not now, but as we're walking around, making our way to the White Priest's temple. If that's where we decide to go, I'll just try to guesstimate the distance.
You're basically trying to guesstimate the distance between like here and Moncton. You can't do it.
Possibly.
Well, we can see it on the horizon, but
Well, here in Moncton.
yeah.
That could just mean it's very big and very far away.
Part of the problem is
Yeah.
you're in a bit of a lower level area from where it was. If you were able to get some height, then maybe you could get some vision on it.
I was
There's
thinking,
also, like I said, not really that much for landmarks around to judge distance.
right, I'll
It's
figure
a
that
trick.
Yeah,
You could, however, ask someone.
I could.
Although, what their answer is likely to be is a little bit questionable.
Yeah, and then they're going to ask you why you're asking.
Yeah,
And there's a big
then they're
mess.
going to ask for a favor.
It's
and-
more of, as you've seen, time is not really a meaningful concept, so they can't say it's 2 days travel away. Or 2 hours travel away.
I was thinking, if I cast Fly on myself, can I just zip there?
Who knows? You don't know how far it is.
No, that's what I was wondering. But anyway,
Flying
I
would
mean-
be one way to get a better vantage point, however.
I mean, I do have Windwalk, not prepared, but that is a thing that I can do.
it would also attract a lot of attention if I
No.
just flew out. I mean, if I just cast Fly on myself and like flew up.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Windwalk does not.
nice.
I mean, you've seen the kind of attention that did draw people before, and then they all kind of shrugged and went on their business afterwards.
Demon attack, yeah.
It was exciting for a moment. So, as you toss various ideas and plans back and forth, what would you like to do?
I think that the priests are our best option.
Yeah.
I kind of would like to go, if someone else can stay with it, but also like,
I'm not going to have much to say to them. I can stay.
I can stay as well.
You might have something to say.
Oh, do you still have the key?
I'll go to make sure they don't step in their own mouths and get themselves killed.
and honestly, like, we
How
don't
could I step into the
need
mouth that's not
Zacchus.
in
Zacchus
it?
can continue his work.
I just heard something, Zacchus.
And Zacchus can also continue his work here, if he really, because he's really into learning what he can.
You're at a bit of a limit
Yeah.
of what you can learn, though.
Yeah.
by just
Although he
staying.
might be the best one to talk with them about what he's trying to do with it.
I've
Yes,
learned-
but that's not the point. The point is to try to figure out what it is, what they can offer us for it,
Yeah.
right? They already know what it is. They don't need a description of what it is.
Do you remember the gigantic being at the mouth of Bone Twitch's cave?
Yeah.
It might be one bones from such a creature.
Yeah, you already told me this. It's
Okay.
in the diagram.
I just wasn't sure if I like verbalized it before the break. Okay.
She just,
I think you
pointed
did-
there.
For those of you at home, I think that you did say it on the break.
Okay.
But no, like we were chatting
Yeah.
about our work, right?
Yeah.
So what they're referring to, for those who may be just joining us, was at the very entrance of the realm, home, whatever you want to call it, of Bone Twitch, the hag, was a gigantic skull shape.
I think that was before video.
I think it was. That's why I'm kind of adding a little bit here. And passing through that, as you discovered when you came out of that, seemed to lead you into some sort of pocket realm. Small but still powerful. Into which the hag was summoning demons as part of her crucible to become more powerful. And being judged by 2 other hags.
One who is still nameless.
It's true. And the other one you know as
Hoarfrost.
Hoarfrost,
Matron
exactly.
Hoarfrost? Yeah.
Matron Hoarfrost.
I was not sure of the name.
So seeing some similarities between that makes your mind spin a bit more. But are you going to do the experiment with the pillar? Are you going to leave? Are you going to...
Learned about all I can from the pillar. It's powerful to the point. It could definitely... It powered a golem. It could power the library, I mean, it's even more powerful than the Starseed. So I could try to figure out what would happen if I tried to use it, or use its power to amplify my own magic, but we've already seen what happens.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah.
Elzara and
it's,
Zacchus, please both make Arcana rolls.
Duh.
What? 17. So fucking low.
I mean, it's gonna be better than mine. Actually, I got a 16.
Wow.
Okay.
It's still better than mine, but like I got higher than I thought it would.
Both of you staring at this massive pillar and realizing some of the things at your disposal also have one thought, but it's going to take experimentation to realize. If it's not too heavy, and if you're careful with the way you stretch the opening, it might fit in the bag of holding, but nothing else probably would. If it's too heavy, it'll probably rupture the bag of holding.
I currently have both bags of holding, though, don't I?
I think so.
One of them's not here, though. You didn't bring Amron's one.
Fair.
But, yeah, you have yours with all the stuff in it.
It's more of I have all my shit in it.
Yup.
And as much as it's not a lot, it's probably like 50-ish pounds of the 500.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
have
just something
my...
you realize.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
Because...
Would it fit?
The bag of holding doesn't have a huge opening, however, so it would be difficult.
No.
Could I measure the opening of the bag of holding versus the top of the pillar?
You certainly could.
Okay, I'll do that.
It wouldn't have fit in Amron's.
Can I see the
Emirates
bag of
didn't have
holding?
a boat.
real
I
quick?
have 45.25 pounds. Yeah.
I won't steal it, I'll just measure the opening. So I'll
Okay.
measure,
Yep.
get the diameter, and do some math, or just like hold up the string to the bag and like hold it up to the pillar.
Yeah. I mean, the pillar has a square end on it, although the rest of the pillar is somewhat round,
Okay.
so the square part is the hardest part to fit it over. You do some calculations pretty easily, and it looks like it fit. It would stress the opening of the bag, so you wouldn't be able to do it quickly, nor would you be able to take it out quickly. So at least size-wise, it should fit.
Alright. And how heavy did it feel, you said?
It's imprecise. You'd have to do a bit of
I've never
experimentation.
lifted 500 pounds.
But when you were an elemental, you carried it here.
Yeah, but I never lifted the weight to compare it to.
Right.
I've never lifted a horse.
Hey Clark, how much can you lift?
Is that an impolite question?
Bro, do you even lift?
It's not an impolite question. I'm just wondering if you know the maximum amount of weight you can lift.
How
and you try to
old are
lift
you?
the pillar, then it'll give us an estimate of how heavy the pillar is.
27 summers, I believe. Maybe more now. I can try.
Alright. You got this! And I'll cheer him on as he tries to, like, hulk up the pillar.
Okay. Gotta look something up here.
What's Clark's actual strength rating?
Pretty good. 16.
It's not 10.
Yeah, I mean, he seems pretty buff.
Yeah.
And I've seen him, like, whack people with Lucille. Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah, his deadlift would be 480. So, if it's under that, he can deadlift it. Otherwise, one end will be on the ground, and that'll give us an idea either way.
Yeah. It's going to be even.
Well, that would be deadlifting the whole thing. One side would be not as bad,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, based on if it's 500 pounds, then you're going to end up with one side on the ground because
Yeah.
you can't deadlift it.
Right. You could maybe
But,
drag it a few feet, but that would be about it.
Physics.
Assuming it's not 300 more pounds than we think it is.
So, do you want to try to lift one end of it?
Sure.
Okay.
Who has something soft-ish and somewhat sturdy?
Blanket.
I
Sturdy.
pulled a blanket out of the bag of holding.
Okay. Something solid?
What shape?
Something that won't shatter under the weight of this thing.
I get nothing.
What is your strength score, by the way?
16.
I don't think my quarterstaff would
No.
shatter.
The most I have is a tinderbox.
How solid is a quarterstaff?
Fabric
It's
will
wood,
Hmm?
so it's petrified. Or not petrified, but it's
It'd
dried
be,
wood.
it'd be a hardwood.
Yep.
So it could support a few 100 pounds anyways.
Do you want to risk that?
Yeah. Well, it's not what I use as a focus.
Oh, yeah.
So here, just this should hold, I believe. Just try not to break it. It's not magical.
Grab that other hairy thing and roll it up. We'll use that.
Okay.
I'll
The
do that.
Telmar blanket.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. If I can get some help to steady it, I'll try to do a lift.
Okay. Who's going to help us steady it?
I can help steady. Like,
I will as well.
And Clark will say, basically what I want is not for it to sway either side. We're going to go straight up.
Okay.
And then someone's going to stuck something underneath there, and they're going to come down again.
okay.
Just suddenly, I'm going to get the two dolls to walk. They'll walk down by his feet, so that if it starts to drop, they're going to try and catch it.
So you see two small rag dolls kind of walking around your feet at this particular point.
They're there to help.
Okay. I figured it was one of you. All right. Clark will attempt to do the thing with all the precautions in place.
Okay. So it's going to come down to a strength check.
Okay.
Are you attempting to steady?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Both of
so
us.
you're going to make a strength check as well.
Okay.
One person makes it, or you can both roll, or one makes it with advantage for the two of you helping each other.
It would be just a flat strength check.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of us have 10.
Yeah.
So probably easier for one person to help the other, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So.
who's going to do it?
So you make sure it doesn't. I do it. Okay.
You can roll.
Add it
Okay,
with
so you're
advantage.
going to roll with advantage. You're going to roll a straight.
Okay.
Done that 20. That's awesome.
I'm so glad I have advantage because I got an 18 and a 1.
Okay. All right. So you kind of lean down.
Hunker,
You
steady.
carried this a bit with her before,
Right.
and you know that the weight is very strange and all center weighted, so it's kind of a real effort to make sure you're kind of center yourself. You can feel your legs kind of cracking a bit, like mine just did, as you move yourself around it. Fortunately, while the square part is flat with the floor, the rounded part where it's all carved, there's actually room for you to get your hands underneath, kind of clasping both hands together, stretching out a little bit. This is going to hurt if you don't do it the right way, and you start to lever it off the ground an inch or two. The two of you are kind of keeping it from going too far. I guess that leaves you to jam something underneath it.
Oh, sure. If they get something that wants stuck under there,
The two little doll people run underneath and put their cloth.
They're
hands
just there in
together.
case it gets dropped. It's not going to go slam.
Yeah.
Right.
We were putting blankets and stuff underneath it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever
So
they
you
got
shove,
to shove
shove the
it under there.
blankets, and the blankets don't have a lot of substance, but I think you had the staff as
Yeah.
well. Okay, and you're able to lever it up and only hold it for a few seconds.
Ease it down as best I can.
But they're able to get the things underneath it and you kind of ease it down. And there's a kind of a as the wood starts to take up some of the weight, and it kind of flattens the staff down a bit, but it seems to hold. So
Okay.
one end is up a few inches.
Right. What did you say your max was again?
Let's not find out.
Yeah. Well, and that was with a natural 20. He managed to move it a few inches, so I don't think it's going to be something we're carrying.
On your own, you could maybe drag it,
Yeah.
but not for very long.
And not under
very
fire.
far.
Not under fire.
Absolutely not.
But based on what we've just seen, it should theoretically be okay in the bag of holding and not rupture it, right?
So for that,
No, we know that it's not in the definitely doable. It's in the maybe it'll work, maybe it won't.
So hopefully it will.
Basically.
This is your bag of holding. How do you feel about this?
I don't.
We could put it in a regular sack.
make
At least
an
that's not
intelligence check.
Not
Alright.
seen, but
I'm a smart. I'm moderately smart. That was an 11 plus 5, so 16?
16?
Yeah.
It's probably light enough to fit. You can't definitely say if it is or not, but it's lighter than you expected it to be. With an appropriate margin for error, it's probably going to fit.
But
Like,
there's zero margin
But
of error.
it's very close.
it seems to be on the border, but it could be the best bet we have.
I mean, I have 50 pounds of stuff in here.
How much stuff, and would it be possible to conceal the stuff in here instead of concealing the pillar?
No.
Especially
You
if
leave your books here.
Especially
No.
if the owner comes home.
Yes, that's what I'm wondering. The owner. So if there's 50 pounds of things in the bag, if we each split the 50 pounds, it should make a lighter load among all of us.
What happens if your magic bag breaks?
Then you owe me a magic bag.
Yes, but hopefully that will not happen. I mean, it should work. Should.
He's the one trying to convince me, so it would be him that owes me the magic bag.
What would Emerald do in this
Actually,
situation?
it's 30 pounds of stuff because 15 pounds of that is the bag.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to take that
Oh,
into
The bag always weighs 15 pounds.
The bag always weighs 15 pounds. It's just the total includes the bag's
Okay,
weight.
gotcha.
It doesn't calculate what's in the bag or not.
30 pounds.
So-
Yeah, we can split
Just
that
over
amount.
30 pounds.
We can split that among
Well,
ourselves.
It's more about what it's made up of. If it's 30 pounds of feather pillows, then you're not carrying that on one person.
I mean, fair.
I would laugh if it was like 30 pounds of pillows.
Don your fellow pillow armor, and we shall be
given
on.
that Elzara does have a habit of picking up a lot of things along the way, I'd be very curious to see what that is as well. But you can say what you will.
I mean, it's a lot of just mundane stuff. It's her clothes. It's her blankets. It's her mundane quiver, because that's useful. It's a shit ton of arrows, because her quiver is full. It's the javelins are in that thing, so I don't have a weight on it. Actually, I don't have as much as I thought in here. Because, like, the leather armor, that's 10 pounds on me, so that's down to 20 pounds. So, I mean, I can put most of it probably in my book bag. Because I have my book bag in there. But, like, I have my alchemist supplies. And
Which is that special kit that you found.
Yeah. So, and my, I have a lot of stuff. It's a lot of, like, mundane stuff, but it's a lot of stuff that is useful.
Hmm.
So.
Do you want any of us to help share the load?
She'll try to get as much of it in her backpack as possible. Because yeah. I don't know.
How does the bag work?
The bag holds a certain amount.
Okay. And
It's basically a pocket dimension of its own.
how much? So the things in it are weightless, more or less.
Yeah. The
Essentially.
bag weighs.
So
Oh.
if the post is mostly inside, we only carry the weight of what's sticking out.
It should fit entirely inside.
From your experience with the bag, things are either in or they're out.
Yeah.
Okay. Curious. I don't know these things.
I like summon a sword, and I'm like, yeah, it weighs like a sword.
So,
Okay.
who wants to do the honors?
Or you could just leave it here and disguise it. Or stay with it.
I start pulling out like a bunch of darts and a handful of daggers and some clothes and start shoving it in a book bag. This is your cue to do you want weapons?
It's like, this is why I kept asking if you had resources.
We're magic people.
Not all of us.
We're magic here, people. We're magic.
May I borrow some of those
Yeah.
blades?
You have 3 regular daggers and however many darts come with wherever I got them, because that's from like beginning game that I've just never used them.
Are they like rusted darts?
No, they're just like the darts that came in like my starting pack.
Yeah, they weigh a quarter pound each, I know, but I don't know how many you get in
I
a
think it's 4.
pack.
Some similar.
Yeah.
It's either 4 or 5.
He'll grab a couple of the daggers and the darts. He doesn't have a lot of space for people-sized daggers.
Fair.
Thank
Javelins
you.
are in my quiver. Longbows and my bows are in my quiver. Mess kit, rations, rope. I'm just piling stuff in.
Okay. So out of this bag starts coming the history of this campaign, practically, as all sorts and bits and pieces are pulled out.
The unmoving friend. I'm like, oh, I had that on my belt.
As the other 2 dolls both look up at that one.
It's a little pixie. That's kind of very worn out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a level 3 spell scroll. But it just says level 3 spell scroll. It was... Yeah, never mind. I remember what that is.
What is it? What is it?
It's just a dispel magic.
Okay, I have that already.
But yeah, no, I just level 3 spell scroll. Yeah. So, bunch of shit gets put into a mundane.
So you're
backpack.
emptying out the pack and
If this breaks, you owe me a new bag.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Could I make like a last minute calculation to make sure it's gonna fit?
I mean, you're fairly certain. There's not much more you can calculate.
Okay. Right.
Plus, we've never really put that much stuff into a bag of holding before.
All right. For science.
Except when we put the bag of holding in the bag of holding. Well,
it was
it was
the
bag
the
of
communications thing. That was what the biggest thing we put in.
And then it exploded.
It's not because of the size, though. That was because of its magical effects.
Maybe.
Did you learn the lesson from that?
Not putting magical stones in a bag of
shouldn't put-
holding.
What are we doing?
Communication stones. This clearly is not a communication stone.
Okay, just making sure.
All right. So let's do the thing.
Okay. Who's going to do the honors?
I guess I will, because... Was it my idea, or did we come to the same realization at the same time?
Both of you kind of realized it.
Yeah. You should hold on to a side of the bag, too. Like-
I'm helping lift it.
Okay. But I mean, it's like propped up on my stuff.
There's like an inch or 2 behind, beneath the one end of the pillar. Yes.
All right. So like, fit it over.
Okay.
Okay. It's
Kind of like putting on
Make
a sock.
make a strength check, because again you have to stretch the opening of the bag.
12.
12. You get like 3 corners, and then it's like that last corner is not quite pulling in, and you can feel the bag and it both shivering slightly.
Have I experienced this before?
Nope. Make an Arcana check.
31.
31. So the magical effect of a bag of holding is that you can push something in, and then it goes in.
Yeah.
Where you ask for something to come out, and it comes out. It's in a liminal state right now, where it wants to put it in, but it can't fit it through the entrance.
Okay.
If it stays like this too long, something bad's probably going to happen, probably to the bag.
Okay. All right. Help right now. Put the thing over. We're on time crunch. Go go.
Okay.
Minions, help!
As
2 dolls and a candle.
the dolls
Jump
looking up
over.
and it's like wander over.
Are they
they're
helping?
more decoration, I think, at this point than they are actually helping.
They have a strength of 4.
Decoration.
Well, they can pull
13
120
Sure.
pounds.
Clark will assist.
Okay.
Because this is involving
So
strength.
Get it on the
Strength
corner.
Let's do this one. Ah. Oh, that's a 1.
As you hear the seams of the bag starting to give way when you
Well-
grabbed it just at the wrong side.
One of my 3 got a natural 20.
Wow. Okay. Which
Mine
one?
is 3. It'd be one of the dolls.
Okay.
It'd be that one.
Okay. As you hear the seams of the bag start to rip, and you can feel the ripple of energy happening around the edge of the bag as it's moving rapidly from a non-liminal state to an actuality of, well, bad proportions. And you feel this little tiny tug down by where you are as the extra lip is just sort of pulled over the edge, and then the thing disappears into the bag.
Clark will fall down.
The
okay?
other thing that was holding onto the edge of the bag falls down with it, and then there's this moving edge of the bag as it kind of pops its head out. Look around. It seems to be solid, but you can see the tear on the edge of the bag, and that's not good.
No.
That means the bag has become unstable.
Can I cast mending on it?
You can certainly try.
I cast mend. It's a cantrip.
Okay.
We're going to have to fix that.
Does not seem to have an effect.
Okay.
As you realize this is a magical item of some kind,
Yeah.
simple mending will work on simple things.
Yeah.
Now, you might be able to dispel the magic of the bag and then
No.
fix it, but that's probably going to explode out the thing.
For now, the bag seems to be stable enough, but
Unstable.
it's unstable. It seems to be holding,
It's not exploding.
but it could not take any kind of stress. But the pillar is in the bag.
We have a pillar in a bag of holding. Congratulations, guys.
Do I know how I can fix this? Because, I mean, I know magical items, right?
You've used magical items, but you've never manufactured magical items.
And we've already
you do
broke
know
a bag
few
of
people
holding.
who actually have manufactured them, manufactured items. However, they haven't manufactured bags.
Okay.
Between Thomas Morden, who manufactures a lot of items, and Amrun, who was getting the hang of some things, but never had built a bag.
Now, remembering back to the time that we exploded a bag,
Mm-hmm.
that was bad.
That was bad.
So I don't want to be holding this.
No. I guess.
It's your idea, and I shove the bag onto you.
Do I have to make a dexterity saving throw to not drop it?
No, but are you going to take it?
Just in case it drops, like, what if she just drops it in front of me, not knowing what it might do?
So
I'll-
are you trying to grab it?
I'll take it, yeah.
Okay, yeah. The
What do I
bag
feel?
is in your hand. Feels kind of like a leather bag. There's a little bit of coldness in it. And looking closely now, you can see the bag itself is glowing slightly white,
Okay.
as if the energy within is seeping out.
We need to stop using my bag of holding for dangerous things, please. Because I believe we put the
This
The
thing
entire seat in my
zipped
bag
into
as
the
well.
once it finally happened, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No,
It
I think
moved
it
of
was
its own accord.
in Amron's bag.
So this is a
Wrapped in
battering
lead.
ram.
Essentially.
I mean, it will be when we remove it.
Let's remove it away from any living beings.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's a military use here.
Yeah. And the pillar seems to be very solid. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge if we get to it.
Now, are you able to account for all the things you pulled out of the bag?
I have a book bag in my bag of holding.
Okay,
Like
and
my
that carries
book.
everything that was in there?
A lot of it was
'Cause I
clothes.
think a shitload of arrows was one of the things I heard.
Shitload of arrows.
There should be, I think, 15 to 20 daggers at this point.
No, I gave them all to Clark.
Oh, you did?
Clark gave them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got rid of all my. I have
Well,
0 daggers
so-
on me at the moment. No, the hardest thing would be the bedroll, and that can just
It's usually tied to the bottom of the
Yeah.
knapsack.
Yeah. Or at the top.
Or top,
Or
yeah.
top.
yeah. So
I'll carry the bag, like, kind of hidden by my cloak because I don't want people to see the glow in it.
Okay.
The glow
So-
on it.
It's a little awkward to carry it under your cloak, but you
Yeah.
can do so.
Or do I look too suspicious?
There's a slight glow around the edge of his cloak.
Better than glowing out in broad daylight. Or
You don't look any more
broad
suspicious than normal.
moon blood
Okay.
thing, whatever.
Alright.
I am going to take one of my outfit, like one of my dresses, and just wrap it around the bag of holding
Okay.
to try to minimize the amount of light coming from it.
Then we can tie it around his midsection. It just looks like he's pregnant.
It looks like I had too much booze. Yeah.
So you wrap the dress around it. At something Clark said, when you get that close to it, something does strike you strangely. You didn't really see it before, mostly because it was literally too bright to notice. But as you notice the little edge of light pouring out of this, it looks familiar. It looks weirdly familiar. It is the same tone, the same very useful tone of white light that is emitted by the moonbeam spell.
Well, shit.
What?
I passed my hand through it. Just to be safe.
There's a sensation of passing through a bit of chilly air, but no effect otherwise, at least at the moment.
That could get dangerous.
How so? And I'm assuming that's why you passed it to me?
That looks like my moonbeam. Almost exactly. We know how much that hurts.
So it does. I haven't felt it, but I'll take your word for it. In other words, keep the business end of the bag pointing away from me.
I mean,
Assuming something goes wrong, yeah. Good idea.
good idea.
I mean, the shape of these bags is essentially a what is the term? It's a satchel, basically.
Okay.
So it has a flap over the top.
Okay.
And you carry it with a strap around your shoulder, and the business end is right there.
Okay, I thought it was kind of like a dice bag.
No.
Okay.
That would be a holding sack or something.
Okay.
A sack of holding.
Yeah.
Right. So we should probably go visit the White Priest as quickly as possible, so I can no longer be holding this thing.
Now we don't need a nursemaid.
Mm-hmm.
We can all go.
Yes, exactly. Nursemaid. Anyway.
One who looks after children.
Yes. Right, children. Those loud, stinky things.
Fancy word for babysitter.
The dolls climb back up on me under my backpack and hang on to the sides.
You feel a slight movement from your belt, Alzara.
What are you doing?
The doll's hanging there lifeless. It's not quite the same position you hung it in there, but...
Yeah, she does her own thing sometimes.
It's not creepy at all.
So, what happens now?
Clark gears up.
Okay.
Ready to travel.
I'll
Yep.
pick up my stuff.
I'm packed.
As you assemble all of your gear, you now carrying a bit more gear than you're used to.
I don't like this.
One thing that both Ironbound and Clark notice, because you've been outside a bit more into the crowds than the rest, is there's a lot of color, there's a lot of solid patterns, there's a lot of good-looking clothes, especially on the two of them. They're going to stand out a bit.
We did have
No, that's only
disguises
Mhm.
in the form of heavy cloaks, I believe.
Yeah, you'd use that briefly as
Yeah.
that. It'd be difficult
Yeah.
with their backpack being extended like that.
Right.
And even despite the extra wrapping around it, there's still a slight silver edge around the edge of your robes.
The robes that, just oddly enough, don't get dirty.
I'm assuming, are they robes like over the shoulder and you button them in the front, or are they robes you put over your head? Because I've always assumed there is a front cut to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like fancier robes.
Yeah. That's right. These were the ones you found, I believe,
On Taraka.
on Taraka. Yeah.
Yeah, but when we came into the town here, they had robes
Cloaks.
Yeah.
to conceal themselves.
Yes.
So presumably they'd do the same as when we first came in.
Yeah.
For shits and giggles, I'm gonna attune to the doll.
Okay.
I'm
And-
gonna drop my ring of inspiration and attune to the doll.
I was gonna say, like, I'm gonna do like Arnold did in Predator. and
She's
just roll around in the dirt.
I
so
haven't
look
used
like
her in a
part of the
while.
setting,
She
but then it's
seems
like
to
my
want some
robes are self-cleaning.
attention.
Are you going to wait to do that, or just shift your attention?
You'd
to
look
it now?
dirty, but your
Yeah.
clothes would be perfectly
So
clean.
over time it will change. Okay. All right. So, are you going to put an extra cloak on the backpack, or just leave it to be visible? It would be weird to have a cloak over a backpack.
Yeah.
'Cause
So.
It would definitely look like you have a hump.
Yeah.
But that might not be so weird here.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
You can
It's
go
a
with
scar.
that.
I'll do that and see how it
Okay.
goes.
All right.
I'll kind of hunch over a little bit too to make it.
It's not hard to imagine hunching over because you have extra weight on your back you're used to. So, are you,
I just kind of go with
are you
it.
heading out then?
We'll head towards 9-6 or 8-6 or
I'll have
somewhere around
somewhere
there.
around
It was 9-6 or 9-8.
Yeah, that's it.
9-6.
So yeah, basically taking the earlier one where it was 2 and then 2 then 3, And now looking, thinking of it, it's like, yeah, okay, we did find it the first time, so now I go 9, 6, and then 9, 8.
Yeah, it's easier to navigate once you've got a key, and the key was finding that bar and then knowing exactly where everything starts. And so it's just a matter, there's no markings on the roads or streets whatsoever, but the regular pattern makes it very easy to understand.
And I got a cloak on with a hoodie on, so I attract as little attention as possible.
Okay.
Clark
There are-
will keep an eye out for
Because of where
observers.
Okay.
and because of where we are and how not neat everything is, Elzara's hair is not brushed.
Wow. I believe that's a first.
This is hell. Obviously.
It's her own living hell. She has hair down to her knees.
It isn't hard to make your way to 9-6 at first, and indeed, it's probably the wrong location. It looks like every other pillbox down the street. But from there, it's very easy to spot what is most likely your destination. Again, much the same shape as all of the others that you've seen, with a very broad exception. It is not ebony black. It is a faded pale gray. Perhaps at one point being fully white, but you can see cracks along the side as dark stone seems to almost infest along some of the walls and push up towards. Another thing that is different about this building is the front. It does not have a door. It has a simple archway. And in that simple archway you see someone sitting in a white robe. Looks to be a youngish man. You can see just the hint of pointed ears, so probably in half-elf, or there are some elves that have much the same. Seems to be sitting cross-legged, hands together on their lap, head down, hood pulled back, in some sort of contemplation. Does not seem to notice you approaching.
Clark will find a nice wall to lean on and keep an eye out.
Hey.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess. Greetings.
So he's calling out to the person.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
I mean, nobody else stepped ahead of me to talk, so I guess I'll just say stuff.
Sitting in that particular position, the head rises and you see the eyes blinking slightly, and you sort of realize they were probably sleeping, essentially, probably in a meditative trance. But looking up and hands raised, you see the white sleeve pull back, and a jagged red line wraps itself around the arm. And you can see the arm itself is beet red, almost as though the whole thing was burned at one point, but the scar is very visible.
Okay.
And the person looks up, looks at all of you, and smiles, a broad, welcoming smile. Hello, friends. It's pleasant to meet new faces. I don't believe we've ever met before.
No.
Come in and share a moment of peace with me if you wish.
Peace here. That's amazing. Shall we go in, guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right, I'll go in.
Okay, he turns and leads you in through the opening of that.
It's a side entrance kind of thing.
No, it's the main entrance.
There wasn't a door though.
There was just an arch.
Just an archway.
Just an archway.
Okay.
He was sitting on some steps.
Okay.
And you can see the wall on the inside, only about 5 feet from the main entrance. The wall would be, this would actually mark the middle of that living room if this was a normal
Right.
place. And he leads you, and you can see that as you walk in, the pathway goes in both directions, then curves off, takes the right-hand path. And for Elzara and Zakis, there's a bit of memory here, as when they turn around the corner and you follow them, there is a hallway that seems to be about 10 feet long. And there's 2 entrances, one in the middle, one at the end, both going left. He takes the first one left. And down that, there is a hallway that extends 15 feet, along which you see several openings. Inside, the deeper you get, the brighter and more plain and more simple and more serene and unmolested the wall seemed to be. Whereas on the outside, it was a pale gray infested somewhat with these spires of black. Now, you see the remnants of what appears to be a temple of Mnemosyne, much like you saw not far from the library in Vitur. Wordlessly,
I get claustrophobic again.
it's not tight. The wall, the hallways themselves are
No,
almost 5 feet
I always
long.
get claustrophobic and
True.
when I want to go into there.
It's a mixed feeling. a feeling of familiarity and a feeling of danger at the same time. Clark, you quickly come to realize something's definitely wrong here. This is
much
building
bigger
was
than it
not,
should be.
not this big, not at all.
I wasn't expecting to find a temple of Mnemosyne here.
There's a small chuckle from the person who's leading you. No, most do not. It's surprising to us sometimes, too.
How did it end up here?
For you, Ironborn, there's one Iron bound. There's one additional thing to note, which makes you feel a little bit nervous. There are no shadows at all. There's no no light that you can see, but everything seems to have an ambient, just enough light to see clearly by. No shadows whatsoever, no light sources, and all the walls are at right angles. There's almost nowhere you can hide.
I'm gonna cast Detect Magic. Just the normal way.
The walls radiate magic. They radiate both illusion and transmutation, and it's consistent. There are no breaks in the walls you see around you, and you do see, however, as you walk through, because it lasts for 10 minutes, the walking seems to last even longer. But as you pass by any junction or any additional pathway, there is a sense of divination magic in each of the pathways. And it's weird because the person leading you, while they never seem to really look twice, unerringly leads you along a particular path with no markings, and this could easily be someplace that you get lost. Sorry,
Magic.
your question about this, I wanted to get that impression in before I got too
Sorry.
far.
That's how it ended up here.
So far as I know, it has always been here, as has Mnemosyne. But I know that's not a sufficient answer. Perhaps High Priestess Polema can answer more. Oh, where is my manners? It's been a while since I've had anyone come to the temple. My name is Speaker Valis. And then continues walking along.
It's good to meet you. My name is Zakis.
Well met, Zakis.
From Vatur. Have you heard of the Great Library of Vatur by any chance?
I have not.
Or of Emerald Amakir?
No, I'm afraid not. But I do not know all people or all places. I know mostly this place. And again, he leads you on. About another 15 minutes before finally the opening comes up to a central square chamber. The square chamber has multiple entrances. It has within the square a recessed area or a depressed area within the center, which again Zakis and Elzara would recognize as almost identically the same central garden essentially that was in the other place. You do not see plants growing here, however, as you did see some in the other place. But there is another person sitting across. There is running water here, which is also something you've not seen at all since you've entered this place, entered this realm. And the person seems to be just moving their hand back and forth in the water and gazing intently as if watching the patterns for something, or watching the ripples of the water for patterns. They seem to be elderly. You can see bright white hair spilling out of a covered head. And they turn to see who these people are that are coming in. And Vala says, High Priestess, I have brought visitors. They are new to this realm. Welcome to all of you. Please, have a seat.
Clark will take his hood off.
Oh,
Thank you.
What was the
And
High
she-
Priestess' name, sorry?
Polema, P-A-L-E-M-A. And she also pushes back her hood. And you can see that she does have elven ears, but unlike every elf that you ever dealt with, she has wrinkles on her face, and her face is sagged somewhat. Her eyes are deep into her sockets. There's a sadness that's immediate in her eyes. The bright blue and white eyes that she has, not bright as in light, but bright as in they are lightly colored. And she seems to have a fragility in her hands as well, as you can see as she moves her hood back. there's a thinning of the skin, and you can see veins underneath.
Does it remind me of Thea
Um,
when she was
a little bit,
drastically
a little bit.
aged, but worse?
Where Thea still seemed to have life in a lifespan that would be normal for an elf, this person seems to be far beyond that. But remembering the treatment which was done in the center of that temple, time seemed to pass strangely. And if she's always been here, who knows how much time has passed. Valis nods. I will take my place at the front of the temple. But please, feel welcome.
Thank you.
And he turns and leaves. And Polema sort of looks to each of you. There's a placid but interested look on her face as she looks at each of you. She doesn't seem to be the one who's going to speak first, however. She just wordlessly looks at each of you, nods her head, as if looking at you for something. Spends a fair amount of time looking at you, and then nods her head once more. Spends less time looking at Ironbound and Clark. A little bit more time looking at you.
Seeing
And there's her eyebrow arches momentarily as she looks at you, but then she nods her head again.
So, seeing that nobody's saying anything, I'll just say, hi, I'm Zacchus, these are my companions. We, ended up in the shadow, mistakenly, I'm assuming.
You came through one of the old gates, I suspect. And her voice is craggy and almost feels forced. Not a lot of power behind the voice, but her words seem to hold weight nonetheless.
I'm not sure how old it is, but Elzera may know more about that specific gate, but we fell face first, or at least I fell face first, in a large pile of bones.
Many of the gates open there.
Okay.
Most do not survive. There is a period of time before the realm claims you as its resident.
Ooh, and how much time is that, if time has any meaning here?
Time has meaning, but no measure. It is brief, and you are lucky, and that is good.
In any case, we need a way out of here.
Many do.
We also need some answers that I think we can find here.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that is true, child. May I offer you some tea? We have few amenities of our former lives, but this one I enjoy, and joy is best served with new friends. Would you like some tea?
Certainly, though the water here is drinkable, we were warned not to drink the water. But everything here seems to be less affected by...
It was wisdom for you to be told that. But within this temple you may not fear. You may not worry.
Does she look sincere?
You can make an insight check.
I would like to as well.
Okay.
21.
22.
Okay.
I refuse.
With 14, she seems quite sincere. She seems to be genuinely believing the words that she's saying. With 21 and 22, there's almost an urgency, a desire to share more than just a custom.
Okay.
It's almost as though she's been waiting for this moment.
Okay.
As I was going through with the detect magic, is it only like the walls and such that have magic, or do I notice anything on the people or persons?
Not particularly with Valis. There would be no actually projected magic on what he has. On her, there is a ring that she's wearing. The ring has transmutation magic.
Okay.
That's all you can really see.
Yeah.
You do notice the edge of Zacchus's robe glows with that same magic you'd seen before, presumably from the pillar. It seems to glow rather strongly, actually.
Then I'll take my hat off and say, I will have some tea.
Me as well. It's much appreciated.
For you as well,
I'll pass, but I'll enjoy the company.
as you wish. Valis will bring the tea shortly. Now, you have many questions, I know. I will try to answer what I can, but forgive me if some answers have escaped my memory. I'm very old, you know. There is a case where time has meaning, but no measure.
While they talk, I'm going to be keeping an eye out back down the way we came, just in case.
Okay.
Because I don't have anything to contribute to the conversation.
Okay. So, questions?
Those
Do
are
you know a way out?
I know there are ways that people have left before. It is difficult. And they are guarded.
I'll ask again. Do you know a way out?
One way, yes.
All right.
It is under the power, as I understand it still, of the Lord of Shadow, who permits none to travel.
Right.
Who is he anyway? How did he come to rule this realm?
I was not here when this realm was created, but as I understand it, this realm is his duty and his punishment. He has had other names, I suppose. One you may have heard of before is Peturo.
Oh, that's... Yes, we have heard about this before.
I pull out of my mundane backpack my thing and solidify that line. And I am going to do the same thing.
Is he a demon? Was he immortal once?
I don't know what he was. I know what he is.
And what is he?
Well, Lord of Shadow, Lord of this realm. And from what I understand, the term is devil. But it seems so mundane to say such a thing, as the common conception of devil is mired in superstition.
Mm-hmm.
Here he shows his fairness, but duty.
And he's never let anybody out?
Oh, he has. There have been stories of people who've gone. None have stayed gone. It would seem that they encountered problems. Others have claimed to have left, but since they are still here, I am dubious of their claims.
Do you know of an Emerald Amakir, by any chance? He's a follower of Nimazani back in Fatur, as far as I know.
The name does ring something in my memory.
He created a library in Fatur, and from what I'm assuming, in multiple other places in different ages.
Can you tell me of him? What does he look like?
I'll give her his physical description.
Yes.
Last time I saw him, he was missing an arm. I'm not sure if he escaped this part. This
I
room?
do not remember a one-armed elf by that name, nor do I know him by that name. But I believe I knew him. It was a long time ago.
By which name?
His name was Cicero.
No, I'm not that twisted.
Table flip quits the entire campaign.
Super tempting, and that would be really kind of a neat way to tie it all together, but sadly...
Quit the entire campaign, that's it. I'm done.
There was a way, and I will say, just for those of you who don't know, Cicero was a very early villain who, yeah, no. And you actually, your character doesn't actually know that character's name.
Nope.
So.
Nope. Although, Zacchus, you might be fucked.
No, I want to know what his previous name was.
No, but
What?
you might be fucked.
About.
Because you owe your life to Peturo.
Well, that was wiped out. Yeah, most of Sora's dead.
We did kill Thylestra.
No. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Which other name did you know him by?
He was known as Theron.
Therun?
That's close enough. It was a long time ago. And as I recall, he asked questions like this before, too. He seemed to know more, like he'd been looking into it before speaking to me. I remember this. I may have learned more from him, to be honest. He had a plan, yes. A plan to tear open the realm. I didn't like this plan, as I remember it. It would destroy this place.
Destroy the shadow?
Yes,
What was the purpose behind it?
to escape.
Did he? Well, I'm assuming he failed, or he escaped via some other
I
means.
have not seen him in a long time. I assumed he fell down the ladder.
Let's see.
He could be anyone now if he did. This place, it serves a purpose, although I do not know if its purpose is as it once was. Memory is hard to maintain sometimes, but Namazani guides us. I can show you the mural that was made over the generations who've been in this temple. That might help.
That would be wonderful.
I like pictures.
And Valis comes into this particular point with what looks like a mundane tray with a mundane teapot and 6 cups on the teapot, or on the tray, and proceeds to hand you each one of the teas.
Barb will wave off the tea. Thank you, but no.
He nods. The cup is warm to the touch. It has no handle on it. It's a simple white cup, not entirely dissimilar to the way the walls look, actually. And inside you can see a red-stained tea with a bittersweet taste.
Okay.
A bittersweet smell, I should say. And indeed, if any of you try the tea,
Yeah, take a
I
sip.
wait till they try it.
I'll take a sip.
I've drank too many sketchy teas.
it's very warm, and there's an immediate hit of a sourness first that warms into a sweetness.
Cool.
Kind of a berry sweetness almost. And it warms the entire body as it goes down. It feels like a tonic almost.
Nice.
And you feel invigorated.
It's
You can
delicious.
see her drinking it as well, and as she drinks the tea, she straightens a bit, as though some pain was relieved. It is a delicacy. It is-
I'll take a sip of it and just check for poisons.
What is
You get the impression that bitterness in there, if that was concentrated, that might cause a stomach upset.
I'll
I'll
take a
drink
sip
it.
of it after they have.
Okay.
Seems okay.
You see a positive, almost flush reaction in their faces when they take a drink, and you take a sip, and it is unmistakable. It is thornberry tea.
I drop my cup.
It crashes
to-
on the ground and crashes.
I try to catch it.
Still.
Okay.
What's it
Dexterity
in?
saving throw.
18.
Okay. The
I
hot
drop, catch.
water splashes out over your hand and kind of gives you a bit of a twinge, but you manage to save the cup. A little bit of it splashes onto the white stone floor, leaving a little spread of the red stain of the tea. You can see small little bits, the small little grit essentially of the probably the raw berries themselves, almost seeds that are left on the ground.
I'm so sorry, and I start grabbing stuff to try to wipe it out.
It is no matter, but I am sorry the tea did not agree with you. It is a rarity.
It's not the tea. It's the memories associated with thornberries.
Memories are good. What memories are these? She
Not all
seems
memories are
genuinely
good.
curious about this and leans a bit forward.
Of my fiance who passed. They were his favorite.
Then you should drink them and remember the good parts.
I just didn't expect to see them here.
It is a rarity.
Do berries grow here?
No. Not but one place. It is difficult to find them. But there is a halfling. I don't know how, but on the edge of the festering forest has managed to make a patch of them. The flowers bloom at strange times. There are no seasons here, no days even, and yet this halfling's touch has brought them to life. Cotton. His name is Bernard Cotton. And Elzera, you remember that name? That was the name of the apprentice to Par the gardener in the Padwich Glens underneath garden. The one who had been missing. And the one who had been responsible for growing that very plant in the garden. We trade what we can, and we are granted this small boon. It takes not but one berry per cup, and it sustains us. And you can see there's a little stain of red around her lips where she was drinking this tea, and her lips also seem a little bit fuller and almost redder than they were before. Her skin a little less pale.
That was her apprentice.
Who's apprentice?
The gardener in the halfling village, who basically saved everyone.
Oh.
Her apprentice went missing.
What do you know of the Wild Hunt?
Oh,
Are they from the Shadow?
I have heard that name. Let me remember.
I'll say my aunt's name as well, which I, the player, can't remember, but...
And I'm looking, and I didn't write it down on this particular sheet either. I believe it was Zara.
it was something like that.
Zara Alikir.
No, it was Zara Moonshadow.
Moonshadow. No, it was Amikir, actually. It wasn't on your mother's side, it was on your father's side.
No, it was my mother's sister.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was Amikir that I'd said.
Bunch of hillbillies.
So the Queen of the Wild
Inbred
Hunt...
druids.
It was Amikir, actually.
The Queen of the Wild Hunt is my mother's sister because
Yes,
she then...
but Zora is your grandmother on your father's side.
Okay, well, I mentioned my
Okay,
aunt's name.
Okay. I wasn't sure which one you meant.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, that one I do have. That is Versatra.
Yeah.
And the High Priestess nods to herself. Yes, I remember Versatra, troubled. I had tried to counsel her, but her anger grew stronger, dominated her. Many who come here are filled with anger. She did not come here. She was sent. Vanished. They spent time searching as you have, as others have, looking for a way to be released.
They found one.
I believe they were in the hard gloom. It is a place of death and shadow. I think shadow overtook them. In a land of shadow. Imagine, unless you go there, imagine what the deeper shadow must look like. They had ravaged the land for a long time. They had found things that helped them, I think. Made an alliance.
With who?
The hard gloom's master. When I was young, if I can be called young ever, the hard gloom was a place of sorrow, but remembrance. When people fell down the ladder, they were not reborn as things, they just simply dissolved. Or when someone achieved elevation, they would be remembered there. But it changed. Changed so strongly. The shadows grew deeper. People never came back again. I heard name of a ruler there. Someone determined to find a way out. Someone determined to find more power. What was its name? Arvax.
Why
Yes.
does that not surprise me?
Yes, Arvax.
So a hypothetical situation, if
I'm
the
just going to
wild-
keep this out now.
If the Wild Hunt had a branch from the Tree of Life in their possession, what kind of chaos can they get up to?
Shit, I forgot about the Tree of Life.
I'm just that's
I
out of
don't know
curiosity.
anything about the Tree of Life. Trees give life, except in the festering forest where it has forgotten its way. Aside from Bernard's small grove, I suppose. But if they truly have made it back to the prime plane of existence, then they would be capable of anything. Most of all, revenge.
Mommy.
There is an artifact called the Eye of Arvax. Do you know anything about this? Or any of the things it can do that we may not be aware of? Not that we have it in our possession,
If
but
it was Arvax's true eye, then it would be a part of him, and he would have achieved part of his vision. If part of him made it out, the rest of him could follow.
that's good to know.
But I do not know if it was his eye. Many things are called by many names.
What's the relationship between Arvax and Peturo? Are they competitors or friends? If you-
Peturo is the Lord of the Shadow. He is the one who rules this place, or is bound to it. Sometimes it is unclear. But the Heart Gloom was a loss for him. This place has a purpose, though its purpose is corrupted now. It was a place for the soul to be enriched before passing on.
The Shadow? Or the Heart Gloom? Okay.
The Shadow. The Heart Gloom was a remembrance of love. Now it is a place of anger and hate.
And what caused these changes to happen?
Oh, I do not know. Rivalries between beings such as these are larger than me, and the Mazani has now revealed me to this. Nor have I been venturing outward, as at my stage in life, I am not here for much longer. I believe I will elevate soon.
Elevate to which status?
I will elevate to become part of the universe once more. A good part, I hope.
Well, I don't see why not. We were in contact with a dragon in some mines. Apparently there is a mother of the dragon brood, which is also a powerful...
Givanetta, yes.
Yes.
I've heard of her. She rules the festering forest. How Bernard survives, I do not know. It makes it dangerous to get his supplies, but they are worth it. There is little to sustain you here. Little needed to be sustained, but when small amounts of joy, a moment, unmeasurable, but important, can be gleaned from these joys.
Mhm.
Most have forgotten them. But yes, the brood mother She's newer. The forest was always dangerous. For a while when the wild hunt, as you call them, they once inhabited the forest, but when they left, a dragon came from nowhere. Seems to be looking for something.
White pillars with markings.
And at that mention, she nearly drops her cup.
I catch it.
Nearly
Ready for this one.
Nearly.
She doesn't drop it, but I'm below it. Yeah. Oh, okay. I got a 22.
And apparently the Lord of Shadows is also looking for the same things.
You've seen it? Heard of them?
Yes. Word travels. What do they do?
And she looks more steadily at you. That explains it.
What?
You have one.
Well, not on my person at the time, but I just want more information.
It
You're
is
gonna
in
need to
your-
make a lie for that.
Yeah, if you're gonna try to lie to her, you'd better try hard.
Clark would like to tighten the
13.
grip on the glaive at this point.
So what was your roll to lie?
13.
It's not even close. You would do well not to tell anyone, but you are safe with me. I had not hoped to see one again.
Why not? I hear they're all the rage. Every powerful being wants to have one.
Exactly.
Which is why.
We were among many temples once. One of our temples had a pillar. Word got out, and that temple was destroyed. And our connection to Namazani nearly weakened into nothing. We were hunted for a time after that. They suspected we had more. We managed to hide and die for a while.
That's terrible.
You would do careful with those.
Yes.
They are her remains after all.
Whose remains?
My Biloxi, of course.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm. Record scratch. And
No, you need to bring that down, Ruin.
yes. So what should we do with it? Is there any hope of escaping with it? It's extremely powerful. Could it be used to create some kind of portal that I can't create by myself?
Yes, I think so.
How?
It was before my time. We should go see the carvings. And she kind of
Yes.
straightens herself up and very
Jumping up and I'm like,
awkwardly kind of
yeah.
getting to her feet. It's like she hasn't stood for a long, long time.
I'll help. I'll be there.
She looks
Right
down.
on.
Thank you, young one. And leads you off to the rightmost path. You came in through the leftmost path. There have been many who've taken the title of High Priestess before me. Our order is dedicated to memory and peace. I believe that's even why we came here to this prison, to bring peace to those who are suffering. But I cannot be sure. Those parts of memory were long gone, sadly, tragically for our order. But here, and she has been leading you kind of a little bit on a pathway, weirdly moving faster, but she's not moving any faster. It is as though the walls themselves are responding and being in the right direction. Long hallways seem to lose their distance as she walks, that strange effect of a focus pull, where instead of going and elongating out, suddenly becomes so much closer. And this place is distorting space in a way that's unnatural. But she leads you to a wall, and you can see the wall leads off to a long direction in both directions, carved with images all over it. And again, for Zacchus and Elzera, it shares a weird similarity to the carvings of the Scholars of the Water. Actually, that's right, you were there too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recall, there were two of them, and they told different stories. One showed Polyxia having brought forth things to the world and populated the world. The other one showed Ignis doing much the same, and Polyxia coming along later and adding other things to the world. This one is the inverse in some ways. This one is of Polyxia, and you recognize the iconic figure of Polyxia, a female figure, outstretched wings, water floating up to hold her there naturally. To the one side, the history side, you see representations of the Hollow Hills, and you see a bare patch in front of it, and then you see the placement of the pillboxes there, overseen not by Polyxia, but by this large demonic-looking figure with large, massive horns, extraordinarily muscular, not clothed whatsoever, standing tall if the image is meant to be representing of the small figures at the bottom, dictating the order of how all of this should go, with Polyxia standing beside this figure. On the other side, moving forward, there is a third figure that comes out. The third figure is of Ignis, represented stylistically, on fire, burning constantly. Ignis has a look on its face of anger, and on one hand is grabbed, or one side is grabbed the figure of Polyxia. On the other stands Peturo, grabbing the other arm. And split down the middle, there's a representation of, on one side, what you look at and see the pillboxes. You see the hard gloom. You see winged demons and devils. And on the other, depictions of dwarves and halflings and elves and humans, as she seems to be divided between the two. The High Priestess is also narrating some of this, but it's clear that while the carvings have been handed down, not all the interpretations have necessarily, and she hesitates and pauses in places. It is here that we believe that, torn between two lovers, Polyxia was divided. What remained of her here was lost. And in the next set of panels, you can see that now there is nothing but Peturo standing looking out at a division. And on the other side, Ignis and Polyxia are together. And you can see around their feet 4 other figures. One which is stylistically representation of Marina, which you would know from what the Druids worship. On the opposite side, the same symbol but reversed, which is Marius. You see a solid dwarf standing there, made out of, looks like pure stone, standing as tall as the rest of them, but each of them dwarfed by these two up above, not literally dwarfed, but anyway, which is a representation of Tandu, and a wispy-looking elf with wings, which she says is Lilith, who you know to be a different goddess, mostly worshipped by elves, although not very widely worshipped. And beyond them is the throng of humankind. Another set of panels. You see what's actually familiar, the high mountaintop of Demarak, which shadows over Vatur. The city of Dren is within the Demarak mountain. And you see a representation of most of Ometia. The islands are familiar to you, at least some of them. You who studied a little bit more geography have never seen a map like this. But not all the islands seem to be in the right place, at least from what your understanding is.
I guess needs like a cell phone, like.
Around this, there are depictions of dragons in flight. There's a vision of a massive, one-eyed creature, as large as the dragon on the other side of the islands, kind of gripping on to one side. There are signs of orcs and hobgoblins coming into the world, with Polyxia ushering them in, almost as though she's picking up a map of the world and pulling up the curls to allow something to walk into it. Further on, another vision of Paturo, this time sitting on a massive throne as devils and demons dance around his feet. He looks despondent. His shoulders are shrugged. And he looks longingly at a large square that seems reflective, like a mirror. On the other side of the mirror, you see longingly, in a kneeling pose, the form of Paluxia. And then beyond that, half obscured by the mountainside itself, on looks a jealous Ignis.
I thought my family had problems.
The next slate. Nothing of scene of Paluxia and Ignis, or the world that you know. Now around Paturo, you see larger creatures of stone now, but looking simplistic. There's an image of now him holding what looks like the stone, trying to build and shape and structure something. It has wings. It has a female form. But as he's putting together the head and putting the top part on, the bottom is already starting to crumble. There is no mirror on the wall. The next sight is of Paturo. At least you presume it is, and actually the priestess confirms. Kneeling down, there is a return of the mirror. There's another hole. Head in his hands appears to be weeping. Through the one hole, there is the head of Paluxia, but through another appears to be a hand, and through another appears to be a foot, and through another appears to be the breast, and a wing falling through another, all falling into this world.
Like
Then,
this, the shadow we're in right now.
It seems to be, at least if that's where Paturo is.
Okay.
And in the next slate, Paturo once more in his chair, gazing out into the mirror, which no longer seems to have a vision on the other side. Once again, this time, molding something. And it appears to be a bone placed within a large rocky structure. And now you can see there are several standing around. And there are the demons and the devils cavorting. But other races now have joined that. The next one. It is as though the throne is entirely empty. There is a faint image, an outline almost, of where Paturo once sat, but the throne itself seems to be empty. There is a large shadow that looms over one side, and it has a hand which reaches for the mirror. There's no further plates. Our numbers have dwindled. I will add the stories you have told me to the wall, or probably if Alice will. From what we understand of this, and from what we remember, there was love. Terrible, wonderful love. And she steps back as you all start to examine that. It says no more. And when you turn, she's gone.
Should we give the pillar? Okay.
Anyone remember the way out?
It doesn't work that way. I've tried. Inventor.
And since it is on the hour, I'm going to call the episode to a close with a bit of a history bomb.
History bomb, information bomb, just
I know,
in
right?
general. I
So-
thought the moon shadows had family drama.
So for those of you watching at home, I hope that you enjoyed some of the lore that was just exploded forth. This has actually been a long time in coming. Bits and pieces of this have been hinted at for quite a while.
If you're watching live, the picture that I posted for the announcement of this episode was actually from us trying to prevent Arvax from coming into our realm. So, and getting the eye of our backs.
The
That's what
bastard is still at it, I guess.
A lot of stuff has turned around. A lot of stuff has come up before, and now you're starting to see that maybe there's a picture that comes together here. A strange, weird picture with all kinds of lines. So I want to thank everybody for watching. We are always pleased if anybody watches. We do this because we have fun. But we thought, hey, if we can share our fun, in the words of the High Priestess, joy is best when shared. So we're hoping we're able to share our joy with you. If you'd like to share your response to the joy, why don't Elzara, otherwise known as Marie, I've done that before. People's characters' names are
cross the
easy to
streams.
remember.
It's all good. I'm fine.
How can they share their joy?
You can like the Facebook page where I post pictures like the one I just mentioned. I post the announcements for when we are going live or if anything goes on. We also have a Facebook group that you can find through the Legend of the Drowned Isles Facebook page. All of it is linked underneath. What else can they do underneath there?
So if the video is interesting to them,
If the video is interesting after the fact, and you've seen this on YouTube, you should like the video itself, subscribe to the channel, and hit a bell symbol for all sorts of notifications for future fun times.
indeed. I think we're on a fairly regular schedule. We will skip a couple weeks here and there as either life gets in the way or we simply decide we need a break from time to time. Actually, when I decide I need a break. But I hope you have enjoyed. I would love to hear any feedback or any curiosities people have. I'll probably be hearing enough from these guys just in the questions they want to ask me now. But I hope that you've enjoyed it and share it with friends. And we'll do this again probably next week. See you guys.